Eku did. You are walking, Eku share. You are idle, you are not doing anything, Eku badu. In my area, 2 children were fighting. One Yoruba elderly man was coming towards them. We thought he was going to separate them. What did we see? Eku ija, Eku ija. He still greeted them to continue fight. I love the Yoruba people, But when you want to talk about hospitality, cooking food and all that, you go to the Calabar people. They are the best. But my problem with them is that they are obsessed with periwinkle. I was dating a Calabar girl. Now periwinkle scatter our relationship. Anything where she cook, she go put periwinkle. She cook soup, she go full on with periwinkle. Stew, periwinkle. Yam porridge, periwinkle. Beans, periwinkle. What thing cause problem? She prepared pap, akamo. She put periwinkle. I say for what? I bet. But when you talk about making money, being innovative, there's only one tribe to go to. I don't know, all my Igbo people agree to now. Okay, no. Igbo people are very industrious. They make money out of anything. Last 2 months, I was privileged to go and anchor a wedding reception in Onitsha. I bought shawarma in Onitsha. When I got home, lo and behold, what did I see? Oporoko and Mangala inside shawarma. Igbo people shawarma. You will not kill somebody, And like I told you, I'm a proud Igbo man. I had a privilege to go and anchor an event with my mom, an NGO for widows. They were empowering widows. I just took my mom along. I was the MC. In that event, it was being organized by some white people and all that. If you've been a widow for 1 year, they give you 1 million to empower you. If you've been a widow for 2 years, they give you 2 million. So my mother was observing how they were sharing money. So she called me, Mom, that is my son. Yeah, come. Why are they sharing money? Who is a widow? I said, Mommy, it does not concern you. She said, you are very stupid. Tell me who is a widow. I said, a widow is a woman that have lost the husband. She said, So she that her own husband is here, is she not that worse than a widow? That your father, is he? I said, Mom, don't do what you're about to do. My mom, very stubborn woman. She did not even answer me. And then shouting, I'm here, I'm a widow, I'm making noise. The white people, they don't like all this undue attention. They were like, wow. So we have another widow in the building. Madam, come outside. That's what my mom marched, come outside. So they say, wow, so you've been a widow? My mom said, yes. They say, how long have you been a widow? My mother said, 40 years. So that was how they give her 40 million. Some other women started, gossiping. No women. They said, no. This woman is not a widow. We know the husband. They went to report my mom. So the white people, they wanted to confirm. They said, Madam, can we go to your place to confirm? My mother said, no problem. So that was how they started marching to my house. When they got to my house in the village, my father was outside. My pa crossed leg, they read newspaper. So now my mother just I tell and say, young man, behave yourself. 40 million is involved. So my pa can't adjust. So the white men, they look at my dad. They say, please, do you know this woman? My dad said, yes. They asked my dad, is she a widow? My father said, she's a very big widow. After that, then they asked my dad, so how long has she been a widow? My father scattered everything, said 90 years. So now they are owing my family. All right, that's just on a lighter mood. So we are starting officially right about now. So we are going to be taking the opening prayers. 10 years down the line, it's not a joke. It's not by our power.
You get, see, I don't know.
So we started with God. We are going to continue with God, and we are going to end up with God. So please just bear with us. We will be taking a short break. Then after that, we'll come back. God bless you once again.
Because I don't know. I don't understand.
All right. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Please bear with us. We're about to take the opening prayer. The gentleman that is supposed to help us with the opening prayer is having some technical issues, from his own end. So just bear with us. This Nigeria, and even in Lagos, you can have the weather acting funny in one part, the other side. I mean, it can be raining here. Go to the next like 2 streets, you have sunshine there. So we're also working against the weather. But at this time, Let's just say a word of prayer as we continue. Father, Lord God Almighty, we thank you so much for this wonderful day that you've given us the privilege to be alive. Thank you so much for this great event. You know, you've brought us from the onset, from the scratch, and then we know you are taking us to somewhere very great. You know, we want to entrust everything that we will do today onto your capable hands, that you will give us success, you will give us progress, you will impact us with knowledge. I want you at this time to inspire all our speakers, all those that will be presenting one or two words of encouragement through their papers, that you will inspire them to inspire us, that after everything, you know, we will all become a blessing to our generation. We thank you so much for everything. We pray all this in the matchless name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay, at this time, we go straight to the national anthem. I will have a young, talented Nigerian saxophonist that will be leading us in that segment. Shall we all be upstanding as we take the national anthem of the greatest nation on the face of the earth? All right, thank you. God bless the Republic of Nigeria. You know, I always tell people that Nigeria is blessed. Nigeria is blessed. Nigeria is a nation after God's heart. You know, so we must work together to achieve the greatness that God has prepared for us. As we move on at this time, I'm going to be bringing the initiator of this great idea. Yes, the convener himself, a very passionate patriot, a lover of this great nation, a very distinguished gentleman. So please, ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome and bring to the mic the convener himself, my boss, Mr. Tayo Adeosi, for his welcome address. You're welcome, sir.
Good morning once again. You're welcome to the 10th edition of the Nigerian ICT Impact CEO Forum and the Africa Digital Awards Hall of Fame. I know that a lot of people had been asking questions that at least you had other last year, you've been having it. How come this is why Hall of Fame this year? And of course, we've been trying to explain to everybody that the Hall of Fame this year this is the second edition. It comes up once every decade. The first we ever had was in 2013. And even today on this, joining us at this event are some of the class of 2013, who are inducted, and they are so eager that we'll be doing another induction come tomorrow. So, whereas it's an award, it is a special one. And it's not just an award, people are being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Last time, I think we had about between 12 and 13 people that were inducted. But this year, we're only inducting 9. And it promises to be very interesting tomorrow. For today, we're trying to do something different. You know, COVID-19 has actually brought in a lot of innovations, a lot of intentions of people. And we know how people say, we want to be part of your event, but you cannot fly down and all sorts. So we're happy we are bringing this to you at a very, some level of commitment for us to just make sure that this event becomes a reality. I thank everybody who is on. We're actually supposed to have about 8 papers. It was reduced to 7, it was reduced to 6. Now I think we have between 4 and 5. But other persons will be joining us, includes the EVC, who's being ably represented. We have quite a lot. The chairman of the occasion has even joined us from about 9:50, 9:55. I want to use the occasion to greet my very good friend, the senior special assistant or advisor on ICT, who is the coordinator of SITA in Ondo State, Olumba Kikungbe, and also joining us is the executive governor of Ondo State, Arakunrin Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, senior advocate of Nigeria. So I want to thank you so much for joining us, and a host of other people who are joining. We have people presenting their papers from as far as Canada. We have, all members scattered across the globe. And this really promises to be very interesting. It's going to be very sharp, very smart, because we are taking people's time at busy time, like you can imagine. We started this event at 10 o'clock. By the grace of God, we promise to finish on or before 2. Once we have all the papers, we'll go for a short break now. When we return, I think we're going to have the keynote address by the Executive Vice Chairman of NCC, Professor Umar Gambata, ably represented. And after that, I think the papers will go as scheduled. After we're through with the papers, I think I'll most probably leave that to Mr. Chairman to give his welcome address. I think we'll go for a break now. And when we are back, we'll be expecting the executive governor of Ondo State to join us, who is the chairman of this occasion, to join and kickstart the event. We want to also appreciate all our viewers on YouTube and those who are also joining us on Facebook. We wanted to make sure that we have almost all the networks so that we don't bombard a particular Zoom. So anybody trying to come into Zoom, once you find it difficult to join, please tell others to just go to other network. The YouTube is available and Facebook is also available. I thank you so much for being part of this event, and it could not have been possible without the ICT community in Nigeria. Thank you very much. My name is Tayo Adewusi, the convener of this event. Thank you so much.
Africa Digital Award Hall of Fame with the theme Data, the New Oil in the Digital Economy. Okay, also online, let me quickly recognize the esteemed presence of another incredible young Nigerian entrepreneur, talking about the President Medallion Communications and President Atcom, the very delectable engineer Ike Namani, my direct boss. I recognize you, I appreciate you. Also, we have the co-founder and chief visionary officer, Digital Encode, talking about Dr. Adewale Obadari. You're highly welcome, sir. Then also we have the MD CEO, VDT Communications, talking about engineer Abiodun Omoni. Highly welcome. We recognize your esteemed presence. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we have the DG NITDA, represented by Lena Abba, e-government development. I want to say you highly welcome. God bless you. We are still awaiting the welcome address by the Honorable Chairman of today's occasion, talking about the Executive Governor of Ondo State. Just bear with us, like we're having some technicalities. Meanwhile, I always like to talk about the fact that illiteracy is one of the worst environmental pollution. You know, I have an uncle of mine that happens to be very well-to-do, but a stark illiterate. You know, a lot of the Igbo traders, a lot of them, they had to forgo school for trading. So that's what happened to my uncle, but he got married to a very intelligent lady. So my uncle was invited as a chairman for one of his kids' PTA meeting. No PTA meeting, and it's either they are embarking on one project or the other. So this particular day, they were rebuilding their toilet facility in the school. So they invited dignitaries to come and support. My uncle was made the chairman. Like I said, my uncle is not well schooled. So he met the wife to write a speech for him. So the wife wrote, "It is my pleasure to contribute to this toilet building facility. And on behalf of my entire family, I donate a token of 50,000 naira. That was what my uncle was supposed to deliver, you know. So my uncle started cramming or memorizing, as the case may be, cramming the speech. Any little opportunity he has, he will bring out the sheet of paper and rehearse. "It is my pleasure to contribute to this toilet building facility, and on behalf of my entire family, I donate a token of 50,000 naira. You know, he was just rehearsing it and all that. So it got to the day of the event when he was, you know, brought to the high table and everything. He was still rehearsing his speech. "It is my pleasure to contribute to this toilet building facility, and on behalf of a token of 50,000 naira, you know, he was just rehearsing." So it got to item 7 when they served them. So they came to let him know, "Mr. Chairman, sir, please, immediately after item 7, we're going to call you up to come and deliver your speech." My uncle said, "No problem." As the guy left, he brought out his paper again. "It is my pleasure to contribute to this toilet building facility, and on behalf of my entire family, I donate a token of 50,000 naira. So he kept the paper by his, you know, his plate. So after the meal, while he was waiting to be called, the caterers came, they were clearing everything, they cleared his plate, and then they cleared the paper too, without his notice. So it got to when they called him, so he checked for his paper, he did not see his paper. So he just had to, you know, say what he could remember. So when he got to the podium with the mic, he had to say what he could remember. So he said, "It is my toilet building facility to contribute to this pleasure. And on behalf of a token of 50,000 naira, I donate my entire family." You can imagine the embarrassment. How can you donate your entire family? But just bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we are still waiting for the executive governor's welcome address as the honorable chairman of this great occasion. But please, I want to beg you to just bear with us. Just give us some time to sort our technical angle here. And then once we come back, we'll be on to the executive governor of Ondo State, the honorable chairman of this occasion. Once again, my name is MC Pato. God bless you. We'll be right back.
Yes, for some reasons, the executive governor of Ondo State has to step aside to attend to some other states and southwest critical issues that needed his attention. But you know, I just wanted to reiterate this in live events like this. I think it makes a lot of sense if you are joining a program live. You don't have to mute, you don't have to unmute your microphone. If you are not speaking, you know, you say things and it affects everybody. It took a while before we could unmute everybody at the same time. You know, such reaction matters a lot, you know, to some people. Please, even us here, we're trying to send text messages. Can you please mute yourself, mute yourself, mute yourself? We're trying to invite everybody to be here so that we could, you know, we could really enjoy ourselves. So please, even if it's not in this forum, in another forum, please always endeavor when you join online program, the first thing to do is to mute your microphone. After muting your microphone, then if there is any need for you to speak, the admin people will now unmute you. Thank you very much. Having said that, I'd like to invite my friend, the Senior Special Advisor to the Governor of Ondo State, who doubles as the chairman of SITA, that's the state IT agency, in the name of Olumba Akekugbe, to give the welcome address of His Excellency. Incidentally, Mr. Akekugbe has represented His Excellency at our event in Lagos more than 2 times. So, and he's an ICT guru. So he's not, he's home when he's around us. Permit me to please welcome Mr. Olumba Akekugbe to deliver the welcome address of His Excellency, the Governor of Ondo State. You're welcome, sir. Please kindly unmute him while he speaks.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir, we can see you, but we can't hear you clearly, sir.
Good morning. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we can.
Thank you very much. My name is Obe, not Olumba.
Sorry, sir, for murdering the name.
It's Olumbe.
Olumbe.
So,
all right, sir.
That's it. Correct. Thank you very much. I apologize sincerely on behalf of Arakuri Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, the governor of Ondo State, who's unavoidably absent. I must tell you that even as of earlier this week, it was an event I was actually looking but unfortunately, as you know, these government moves, you know, and as a result of that, he's had to attend to other pressing matters. So permit me, on behalf of Arakuri Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, to give you his deliver this speech on his behalf. So these are his words, not mine. Thank you very much. And I start. Can you hear me? Are we
yes. Okay?
Okay. This is an address Ondo State, Arakunrin Oluwarotimi Odunayo Akeredolu, SAN, at the Nigeria Impact CEO Forum 2021 on the theme, Data is the New Oil of the Digital Economy. All protocols are duly observed. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to welcome your edition of the Nigeria ICT Impact CEO Forum. The theme of this forum, by my evaluation, is no doubt well-researched and timely. Data, the new oil of the digital economy, is apt in the sense that data, which is the main subject of our discussion, is an indispensable element that should concern everyone in this era of digital of technological advancement. Gone are the days of the Industrial Revolution when oil was the main resource to drive the economy. Oil's usefulness cannot be overemphasized. It was the lifeblood of industrialized nations, energy to power industries. Vehicles, aeroplanes, even homes depended wholly on oil as a source of fueling, and hence a rapid advancement in mass production of goods and services as against the manual ways of doing things before the Industrial Revolution, and also offered great boosts in transportation. These brought a great improvement to life as things were done faster and the economies of nations were given a great boost. However, technology is advancing. We have moved from the first, second, and third industrial era to the fourth industrial revolution, where information technology as a tool is connecting the whole world and making it a global village. Data becomes an important component of information technology. What is ICT? Is about using computers and other computers ancillary devices for the collection, processing, storage, and distribution of useful data. This data is processed, analyzed to produce useful information. And this useful information enables us, even in government, to make timely decisions. The discussion on data as the new oil of the digital economy in the 21st century is key to all stakeholders in the Nigerian economy because of its importance. The importance of data cannot be overemphasized in the economy of nations because it is the lifeblood of the digital economy. Hence, it is not surprising that data has of late been referred to as the new oil. It is an essential resource that powers the present digital economy. In the past, the wealthiest in our society are those that invested in the natural resources such as oil. But in a knowledge-driven economy, wealth is determined by the level of what you know based on the available data and information you have access to. Many IT giants, such as Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter, are generating millions of data on a daily basis, and the positive effect of this cannot be emphasized on the economy of both individual and organization. Most of the richest men in the world today are in the technology sector. For instance, Bill Gates of America made a fortune through IT and not oil. You can surely believe with me that data is the new oil of the digital economy. In governance, we do not only need data, but we also generate so much data on a daily basis. And this is one asset of government. As such, we should guard it jealously. The current COVID-19 pandemic challenges have shown how vulnerable public administration can be when accurate and timely data is not accessible. We need data to show how responsive we are to manage and solve emergency problems. The public that has voted us in expects so much in terms of service delivery. For efficient and effective use of physical, human, financial management, and accountability, we also need accurate data to plan and take decisions. While accountability is key for building trust between the government and the governed, Again, for the purposes of transparency in governance, we need data. The timeliness, reliability, and integrity of data, we must agree, are still a major concern in the public sector in Nigeria, and this should be at the front burner of this forum. But our fears lie, how secure is our data? How do we store them beyond the mere secondary storage devices that are prone to both theft and damage? How accurate, standard, and clean are these data? Are there reliable policies in place to follow and ensure we're doing the right thing with the data at our disposal? It is my expectation that the organizers of this forum have stated in their program that so much will be addressed, since data is very key in the current knowledge and digital economy. It would be great to discuss data protection, regulation, policy, data governance, and building blocks to a data-based digital economy, challenges of cybersecurity, and capacity building for data professionals, and so much more. As I was told, we have experts and leaders from different fields of ICT that drive the growth of ICT in Nigeria as resource persons. I have no doubt then that this forum will be both educative and impactful, as some critical areas of concern will be addressed and discussed elaborately. Once again, I want to sincerely welcome everyone to this forum, and I wish you fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much. Hello?
Hello, yes,
Okay.
I can hear you.
Just checking.
Thank you so very much. Talking about the senior advisor on ICT, another incredible gentleman, Mr. Olumbe Akinkobe, for that very impactful speech from himself. Like I said, I wish I'm used to audience. You deserve a standing ovation for that. Like I'm the only one standing, so I'm going to give you the ovation myself. I was inspired. God bless you for taking out time out of your very busy schedule, to come be with us. We really appreciate. So we'll keep moving on. Because on standby for the Goodwill messages, we have the MD/CEO night concert, another incredible intellectual powerhouse in our midst. She is going to be giving us the Goodwill messages. Let's appreciate and welcome Dr. Abimbola Alali, MD/CEO night concert for Goodwill messages right about now.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. MC, and good morning.
Good morning,
Gentlemen and ladies that are present, gentlemen of the press, and all the distinguished participants at this year's ICT Watch Forum. Permit me to actually congratulate the organizers of the Nigeria ICT Impact CEO Forum and all their partners, the executive management of the conveyor and everybody. And so on behalf of NICOMSAT, the management, the board, and the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, I want to congratulate you for successfully organizing and consistently hosting this event yearly to the benefit of the sector and the entire nation. Over the years, The event has brought together some of the best minds in the industry, and you've been able to bring us together to deliberate, and you've been able to also birth different agenda. You've been able to different agenda for the sector to pursue. And truly, with your title of this year's forum, which is Data, the New Oil, I think you are very apt, because both the young and old depend on data right now for information, education, even in making money. That's to actually attend to our financial needs. And on this note, I'd like to let you know that at NIGECOMSA, we're committed to continuously contribute our own quota to the digital economy sector by ensuring that the unserved and underserved areas of the nation have access to digital services to ease their day-to-day activities. At NIGECOMSA, we continue to advocate for public-private partnership in order to collaborate so that show that the synergy is what can take Nigeria to being a digital economy. We are also committed towards increasing the digital penetration through laid-out policies by implementing the laid-out policies of the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy, and continue to support events such as this, where you bring active minds in ICC sector together to be able to bring up new ideas to drive Nigeria digitally and help us to achieve a digital economy and be a truly digital nation. So on this note, I thank you all for the opportunity to give this very short Goodwill message. And once again, I congratulate the convener for this laudable event. Thank you, good morning, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much, Ma. Really, really appreciate that. Thanks a lot. And NIGECOMSA had been one of those who had been supporting for quite a while. And Madam, we really, really appreciate your great effort. At this point, we will also be going into second Goodwill message. After this second Goodwill message, if we have someone of a representative of ATCON in the house, maybe executive secretary, I saw him a little while ago. Maybe after that, if you can join us to say one or two words, then the executive secretary of the Association of Licensed Telecom Companies of Nigeria, ALTON, who might also want to join us in the course of the program before we take the keynote address by the EVC. So at this point, we will call on Mr. Larry Ayola, who is the CEO of Tranta IT Infrastructure Services Limited, to please give us some words on his Goodwill message. Yes.
Thank you very much, Tayo. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, very clearly.
Fantastic. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to be here to deliver this Goodwill message and to participate in this event. My greetings and my respect to the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, and to all the other DGs and MDs of all the companies that fall under the NCC. I also, my greetings and my respect to Mr. Tayo Adewusi, a very, very old friend of mine, who was there at the beginning of my IT career. So thank you very much indeed. And of course, all of the protocols, I stand on them. So my name is Larry Ayola. I'm the Executive Chairman of Tranta IT and IoT Africa. It is my honor and privilege to be a part of the 10th edition of this ICT Watch Forum. This is a gathering of great minds in the technology industry, and it is truly an honor to be a part of this platform as we discuss and create innovative solutions to push Nigeria's digital future to greater heights. I am particularly delighted to be here because it gives us the opportunity to highlight the immense importance of data and technology to the present and future of Nigeria. We now have startup companies becoming unicorns and an ecosystem valued at over $4 billion. Practically every industry is and will increasingly be transformed by artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, big data, etc. Tranta IT and its subsidiary IoT Africa are pushing forward to make sure that Nigeria benefits from this wonderful opportunity to engage in the use of technology for the benefit of the nation. This year, the theme is Data, the New Oil of the Digital Economy. We will be discussing about data in the 21st century and how it's like oil in the 18th century, an immensely untapped, valuable asset. Today, data is the world's most valuable resource, surpassing the oil industry. It is oil for those who understand its value and learn how to use it. Thriving in this space demands new approaches and flexible thinking that breaks the norms and cultures we are all comfortable with. Through this platform, we'll learn why digitalizing the economy is key to everything from governance to running SMEs. We'll get to understand why data is more valuable than ever and why progress will struggle without its effective use. I applaud the incredible work of NITSDA, the NCC, NICOMSAT, ATCON, ALTON, ITAN, and all other institutions and people that I may not be able to mention all of them, who are making great strides to deepen the digital inclusion in Nigeria. I bid a warm welcome to all the renowned speakers and delegates who took out their valuable time to join us today and be part of this conference. We are honored to have you all with us. Once again, I thank every member of the team who made this possible. I pray that by God's grace, Nigeria's digital economy will grow to the greatest heights. Thank you very much indeed.
All right, the NCC or Tranta IT Infrastructure Services Limited, Ms. Larry Ayala, we can't thank you enough for that inspirational Goodwill message. We appreciate you so very much. Thank you for making time, out of your very busy schedule to join us. We appreciate. God bless you. God bless you. Please bear with us in case you are not really you're having issues with reception. It's raining like cats and dogs right now in Lagos. So don't bear with us. But the program must go on. We are still on Goodwill messages. So please, I don't know if we have any representative for ATCOM and ALCOM online. So we can quickly take the Goodwill messages from ATCOM or ALCOM. Anyone from ATCOM or ALCOM?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, let's move on. Forward over.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay, ATCOM the secretary is great. So the stage is yours. You're very welcome. Very welcome. God bless you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. The Association of Telecommunication Company is delighted to be part of this event, which is put together by my bon, Mr. Tayo Adewusi, and we appreciate his diligence in contributing to the continuous development of the Nigerian telecom and ICT sector in Nigeria. For us, the issue or the typical issue is apt and has the capacity to change the narrative of the industry. For us, the theme, which is data, the new oil of the digital economy. We all know what oil has been able to do to Nigeria. One, oil is Nigeria's major source of income. Oil contributes principally to employment generation, and it also helps us to drive, our various macro economies. So data will continue to be the major driver of the Nigeria economy, in the next 50 years. So we're happy to identify with the organizer of this event, and we do hope that the outcome of this event will be used to further develop the Nigerian telecom and ICT sector. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much. That's the Chief Executive Secretary of ATCOM, just giving us his good messages. I want to really appreciate you. We are really grateful. Our warm regards, my personal warm regards to my boss, that's the president himself, engineer, my namesake as well, Ikin Namani. Yes, just send me well. God bless you. Okay, moving on at this time, we go straight to the keynote address. The keynote address. Okay, also we have the former president of ATCOM, Mr. Olushola, online. Tenyola, yes, he's going to be giving us a goodwill, a brief goodwill message. We appreciate your esteemed presence, sir. The stage is yours, sir. Please bear with us. The rains is really affecting our technicalities. So we are quickly going to take a short break. Then we'll be right back. Hello. Okay. Well, thank you so very much. Short interview.
Hello. Okay.
All right. Mr. Olushola, are you online now, sir?
Good morning to you all.
The former president ATCOM, the stage is yours. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Okay, I was preoccupied, and apologies for that. I didn't get the beginning of the request. Exactly, MC, what did you expect of me? Sorry, I was distracted.
Yes, goodwill message, goodwill message.
Okay, I wasn't expecting to give a goodwill message, but since you've requested for Goodwill message. I hope that the current president of ATCON is also on this forum. So as the immediate past president of ATCON, I am happy to be associated with the ADA Hall of Fame, and I look forward to a deliberate and fruitful discussion. I believe that we've had the representative of the Ondo State Executive Governor and my sister Abimbola Alale of Nice Comsat speak, and a few other speakers. So I'm very happy that we have a contingent of industry players at this gathering, and I look forward to a fruitful dialogue to take this industry to the next level. Thank you very much, and I look forward to a fruitful dialogue with you all. Thank you.
All right, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. The former executive president at COM, Olusola Teniola, for that very impactful Goodwill messages. Ladies and gentlemen, we are quickly going to take a short break in the next 2 minutes, then we'll be right back. God bless you. Now. Okay. So when we come back, we'll go straight to the keynote address by the professor himself, the EBC NCC Professor Omar Dambata, ably represented by Muhammad Babajika, talking about the Director of Licensing and Authorization, NCC. So let's give us a while. All right, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, once again, you're welcome back to the 2021 Nigerian ICT Impact CEO Forum and African Digital Awards Hall of Fame. We had the Honorable Chairman, that's the Executive Governor of Ondo State, give us the welcome address. We also have or had the MBCO, NICOMSAT, Dr. Abimbola Alale, give us a Goodwill message. Also, the CEO, Trantai IT Infrastructure Services Limited, Mr. Larry Ayola, give us his own Goodwill message. But right about now, we go straight to the keynote address by an erudite Professor Omar Zambata, the EDC, being ably represented by the Director, Licensing and Authorization, NCC, in the person of another distinguished gentleman. We're talking about Mohammed Babajika. Mohammed Babajika, can we just recognize you by wherever? Okay, yes. Okay, you are on, sir, whenever you are ready.
All right, thank you so much.
You're highly welcome. God bless you.
Can you hear me all?
The stage is yours, sir.
Thank you so much. The chairman of this very important occasion, His Excellency, the Governor of Ondo State, Mr. Araru Kirin Rotimi Akeredolu, SAN, represented by the Senior Special Advisor, Mr. Olumbe, Mr. Tayo, the Convenor, Tane Adeusi. Permit me at this juncture to stand on the existing protocol. I'm here representing the Executive Vice Chairman, Nigerian Communications Commission, and also to tender his apology. He would have preferred to be here himself, but due to other exigencies and other government important activities, made him to nominate me to represent him. And I have a keynote address duly prepared by the EVC. So permit me at this juncture to go through the keynote address. The keynote address by Professor Umar Garba Ambata, FNSE, FRAES, FNIEEE, FAENG, Executive Vice Chairman, Nigerian Communications Commission, at the 2021 Nigeria ICT Impact CEO Forum, held online on September 24, 2021. I'm pleased to welcome you to the 2021 edition of the Nigeria ICT Impact CEO Forum with a unique theme, quote and unquote, data, the new oil of the digital economy. The theme of this conference is both apt and timely at this point of the vertical growth of the global economy and the continual integration of different services. More so, there is a growing reliance on technologies and new approaches to deliver services across all spectrum of the global and national economies. The concept behind quote and unquote data is the new oil is that just like oil, raw data isn't valuable in and on itself, but rather the value is created when it is gathered completely and accurately connected to other relevant data and done so in a timely manner. When properly refined, usable data quickly becomes a decision-making tool, information allowing companies to react to market forces and be proactive and international in their decision-making. It is gratifying that in the last few years, the telecommunications sector has consistently driven the digital economy agenda of the government, as it provided the necessary impetus for the support of the Nigerian economy in the digital space. It is pertinent to add that the information and communication sector recorded a growth of 6.31% in the first quarter 2021, which was largely driven by the growth in the telecommunications subsector, which is well over 7.69%. This growth trend has rekindled the hope that economic diversification can be realized in Nigeria. Also, one of the most dynamic developments related to the digital economy has been the rise of social network platforms, which have set the stage for unprecedented social interactions, dialogue, exchange, and collaboration. These platforms have opened up multiple avenues for entrepreneurship, business connectivity, and engineered several activities that support ease of doing business in Nigeria. Clearly, access to internet and the platforms have bridged the gap between entrepreneurs in other climes with young Nigerian business owners. Just as oil requires infrastructure for storage and transportation, data requires infrastructure in the form of software and hardware. Any business that wants to maintain data for analytics will need technology for collecting the data and storing the data. This technology can range from on-premise data servers, on-premise data servers, to databases and data lakes maintained in cloud platforms such as Amazon Web Services and Microsoft Azure. The bottom line is that you need a data management system with both a place to keep your existing data and tools for acquiring and storing more data. A second critical issue is the privacy and protection of data. The Commission is currently working on a regulatory instrument to manage data collection and utilization in Nigerian communication sector. This process is going through the Commission's collaborative rulemaking approach, will provide all stakeholders with ample opportunities to participate. The NCC has been driving the deployment of infrastructure for communications, and that has provided the impetus for data management in the country. The rising contribution of the telecom sector in Nigeria's gross domestic product, GDP, and the deepening of broadband penetration to more than 40% is indicative of the contribution of the NCC to deployment of supporting infrastructure. The objective is to attain ubiquitous broadband services in Nigeria, hence exponential growth of the economy that supports e-commerce and e-businesses. This is supported and driven by the policy documents, such as the National Broadband Plan, the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy, and the Nigerian Communications Commission Strategic Vision Plan 2021 to 2025. In concluding this keynote address, I implore all attendees to continue with open discussions that will provide policymakers and policy enablers ample feedback on the current state of governance, infrastructure, and the necessity to reform where required. Nothing illustrates this than the liberalization of the telecom sector and the unimaginable exponential growth in the sector. Distinguished guests, participants, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all for your time and wish you a fruitful experience. Professor Umar Garba Dambata, the Executive Vice Chairman, Nigerian Communications Commission. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. We can't thank you. We are so eternally grateful to the erudite Prof. Professor Umar Dambata, the ABC, NCC, ably and capably represented by Mohammed Babajipad, the Director Licensing and Authorization, NCC. We appreciate you. God bless you. Very good. Okay, we go straight to the first paper presentation, ladies and gentlemen, and it's going to be the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation and the Future of Data Governance by another distinguished Nigerian, Malam Kashifu Abdullahi, the DG NIDA, represented by Lena Abba, e-government development and regulation, NIDA. So Lena Abba, are you online now?
Yes, I am.
NIDA, yeah. So the stage is yours.
Hello?
Yeah, good morning.
Okay, good morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm just trying to share my screen.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm having some technical issues.
We understand.
Yes.
It's raining cats and dogs here, so we are battling our own here too. We can see your screen.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Okay, so good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good
My name
morning.
is Lena Abba. I am part of the Nigeria Data Protection Team at the National Information Technology Development Agency. I am here today on behalf of our Director General, CEO, National Information Technology Development Agency, Mr. Kashifu Inua Abdullahi, who unfortunately was unable to attend today. However, he sends his most sincere apologies. On behalf of the DG, I would also like to thank the ICT Watch Magazine Forum for being honored with the nomination of Most Outstanding E-Government Personality of the Decade, and also on behalf of our agency, to thank the ICT Watch Magazine Forum for the nomination, for the award of Most Outstanding Information Technology Regulator of the Year. We're very grateful and we are honored. So, our topic for today, the paper I'm putting on behalf of the Director General, Mr. Kashfinu Abdullahi, the Nigeria Data Protection Regulation, and the future of data governance. Okay, so the fourth industrial revolution has come full circle. The world today has gradually evolved into a digital platform in which everything that we do today is in some way linked to technology. Has gradually so the reality now is that the phenomenon of digitalization has now elevated digital platforms to become drivers of the economy rather than enablers of same. The latest Nigeria Bureau of Statistics reports reveal that the ICT sector contributed 17.92% to the GDP, thereby powering Nigeria to a record post-recession recovery. The digital economy is highly dependent on the availability of data and the requisite skills to process such data to extract maximum economic and social value. Some of the biggest companies in the world today, also known as big tech companies, I'm sure we've all heard of Alphabet, Facebook, Amazon, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft. These companies are cumulatively worth over $4.2 trillion. And it is said that the value of every individual is $12. Therefore, the more people using these platforms, the more profits these companies gain. So I would just like to give a brief example of how these companies gain from using our data. So it is common when we use apps like Instagram, or website, when we go on Google, when we search for something, you end up going to other sites, you start to see related pop-up ads of things that you've already you've searched previously. And you start to wonder, how did my information start to cross from one site to the next site to the next site? This is because most of these big companies, they create advertising profiles with our data. Data such as our gender, our online habits, our name, etc. Then they start to sell this data to each other. It's worthy to note that companies like Facebook and Google, they make 90% of their revenue from advertisements. With Facebook generated, this year alone, Facebook generated $28.5 billion in revenue from advertisements alone, and Google generated about $57.1 billion from advertisements alone as well. So you can see how this can eat to our rights and the rights of data subjects being short-circuited by these companies or abrogated. So this then leads to the aspect of data governance. So what is data governance? Data governance is the process and procedure used to manage, utilize, and protect their data. In this context, data can mean either all or a subset of a company's digital and or hard copy assets. It establishes the processes and responsibilities that ensure the quality and security of the data used across a business organization. Okay, so what data governance does is it defines who can take what action and upon what data, in what situation, and in what method. So some of the issues that data deals with is things like data storage. How are companies or organizations storing data? How long do they keep data of individuals? Data security, which obviously is very, very important in relation to the topic of for today. So how are you protecting individuals' data from security breaches, from cyber attacks, ransomware, and so on? And then we have data modeling and design, master and reference data, data architecture, the quality of the data that is being saved, that's being stored, and metadata. Okay. So the necessity for data governance in a digital ecosystem is what leads us to the NIDA and the NDPR. So the National Information Technology Development Agency was mandated by Section 6A and C of the NIDA Act 2007 to provide regulatory, developmental, and advisory direction for the IT industry to mature. Section 6C of the NIDA Act 2007 provides that the agency shall create a framework for the planning, research, development, standardization, application, coordination, monitoring, evaluation, and regulation of information technology practices, activities, and systems in Nigeria, and all matters related thereto and for that purpose. C also provides the agency shall develop guidelines for electronic governance and monitor the use of electronic data interchange and other forms of electronic communication as an alternative to paper-based methods. Okay. So before the NDPR was in place, a lot of companies were interested in processing data of other Europeans, were required to either fully comply with the EU General Data Protection Regulation, I'm sure we've heard of the GDPR, or they wouldn't be able to be a part of the European economy. And it's also, I just want to briefly note that most big tech companies are usually against regulations like this. They don't really want their activities to be monitored, but then the digital and innovation space, there has to be some form of regulation to monitor the activities of smart operators. You'll notice a lot of the time that you see on the news that Google, I think recently Google had some disagreements with the governments of the Indian government, Australian government, the Russian government, Facebook as well, the infamous Cambridge Analytica case, etc. So when the agency issued the NDPR in 2019 to enable the digital economy players to remain relevant in the modern globalized economy, it has now become the pivotal regulatory instrument powering the Nigerian digital economy. I just want to briefly highlight some aspects of the NDPR, some key aspects of the NDPR. Firstly, the objectives. What are the main objectives of the NDPR? I think the main reason we have here is for data privacy and protection. So to find, the reason we have data privacy and protection is to safeguard the rights of natural persons to data privacy. Another objective is to secure exchange of data, to ensure that there's a safe conduct for transactions involving the exchange of personal data. So people will be at peace knowing that their data safely, very personal data is being secured, is being exchanged securely in order to promote a global digital economy. Another objective is improve business environment and also to create sustainable jobs. The scope of the NDPR is all residents of Nigeria, all Nigerians, members of the public sector, and members of the private sector. So the NDPR applies to all residents of Nigeria, all Nigerians, the public sector as a whole, and the private sector as a whole. Another area is the principles of the NDPR, which is also key to what we're discussing today. So the first principle is lawfulness and legitimacy. Personal data that is collected and processed must be legitimate and for a lawful purpose. A second principle is specific purpose. So when companies are storing data, there has to be a reason. There should be a purpose for why personal data is being stored. And the data subjects have a right to be told of that purpose, of why their data is being, this is usually stated out in privacy policies. I know a lot of people don't go through the privacy policies, we just press accept and move on, but information is what you usually find within privacy policies. Then accuracy. So Article 2.1b says that personal data process shall be adequate and it should be accurate. Storage and security, which is what I mentioned earlier, it should be stored for the period it should be stored for the period that they are reasonably required to do so. So it should not be stored longer than it is needed. So once you stop using a certain, or you stop using a certain website or so on, your data should not be stored with them for a longer period than required to do so. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability, and then compliance, and of course, compliance and enforcement. Compliance and enforcement, the DPCOs, also known as Data Protection Compliance Organization, they're licensed, they're currently being licensed by NITA to carry out, to aid in making sure that data controllers and data processors are complying with the NDPR. So they carry out audit reports, usually over 2,000, if you're processing data of over 2,000 data subjects, every year you're required to submit your audit report before the 15th of March annually. Okay, so after the NDPR was issued, the next step was to ensure implementation and enforcement. So it was interesting to see that in that same year, the NDPR received judicial recognition in the case of Paradigm Initiative for Information Technology versus NIMC. So the issue was whether NIMC had the right to collect personal data without adequate security and regulatory framework to guide the process. The court took notice of the issuance of the NDPR by NIT and therefore dismissed the case on the basis that the issues complained of by the claimant has been taken care of through the NDPR and other measures established by NIMC. Okay, so I want to also, in addition to I also want to mention some of the achievements of the NDPR. So our first task as an IT, when we were trying to promote the NDPR, our first task was to awareness. Let people understand what data protection is, what data privacy protection is, how our data is being used. So we had our first privacy week, which was held. Nigeria was the first country in Africa to dedicate a whole week to public awareness on data privacy protection. We had our first privacy week, which was held on the 23rd to 28th of January 2020. We had another privacy week also this year from the 24th to 28th, and we hope to have another one next year, January, around the same period of time. We have also been receiving numerous requests, questions, requests for clarifications, and other inquiries from the public on the issue of data protection, which shows that people have started to understand what data protection is and are curious to see how they can be a part of data protection. We have also organized workshops with data protection compliance organizations, DPCOs, data protection officers, also known as DPOs, data breach investigation team, police enforcement team, and select NIDA staff, in-house workshops for major multinationals. Aside from the compliance focus, we have also integrated the data breach investigation team. The team consists of IT professionals, lawyers, and the police team are empowered to invite, arrest, interrogate, and prosecute erring offenders. NITA, on the recommendation of the Honorable Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, was appointed as a member of the Technical Working Group on Data Protection Laws. With support from the European Union Commission. Nigeria has also been appointed as the vice chair of this essential group. We are also members of the Commonwealth Network of Data Protection Authorities. Okay, so in addition to our other achievements, the NDPR also achieved the performance indicators. The audit reports filed for this year have gotten to a number of 1,162. I think last year it was about 838. Market value of data protection now is about 5.4 billion naira. the jobs that data protection at NDPR has been able to create 3,100 jobs. We've remitted about 26,310,000 to the federal government in revenue from data protection activities. We've collected fines from companies that have breached, carried out data breach activities such as e-settlement and Shoko Loan. Shoko Loan is the more recent one. It's recently been concluded. Then also DPCOs that have been licensed, 136 this year. And expression of interest for certification body, we've been able to raise about 3 million so far from people expressing their interest to be a data protection certification body. Okay, so basically in conclusion, since the inception of the NDPR, NICTA has been able to enforce its provisions on members of the public and raise awareness on the need to protect the need for a specific framework to regulate the way data is being harnessed. The significance of this regulation is that it will serve as a guide for any organization processing or handling data to understand the modes in which they are required to conduct the usage of data in their care. So we are very proud of the work we have done with the NDPR and the positive engagement we have received from various relevant stakeholders. Working collaboratively with significant stakeholders, we are able to develop a regulatory framework to guarantee that there's a policy that controls and monitors how data is handled. Their cooperation has also assisted us in adopting and enforcing the NDPR standards across Nigeria. It is worthy to note, however, that we still recognize the need to continue to work more diligently for the advancement of the secure digital economy. Thank you for listening. So I've come to the end of my presentation.
Wow, thank you so very much. The very admirable Lena Abba for doing justice on the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation and the future of data governance. We can't appreciate you enough. Thank you so very much for joining us. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we have another very loaded gentleman, another intellectual powerhouse, talking about the NCC VDT Communications. He's going to be taking us on why data is the new oil in the digital economy. Why data is the new oil in digital economy. So please let's clear the stage for the very charismatic NCC VDT Communications engineer Biodu Omoni. Ladies and gentlemen, engineer Biodu Omoni.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. You're welcome, sir.
It's nice seeing everyone, and I would like to say thank you to the organizers of this event, and start with, can I be heard? Can you hear me?
Yes. Welcome, sir. We are on, sir.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
So I would like to thank everyone, thank the organizers to start with, and on this occasion, say special thanks to the chairman of the occasion, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Ondo State, the Honorable Minister of Communication and Digital Economy, Professor Issa Pantami, the keynote speaker, the Executive Vice Chair of NCC, our regulator, and other keynote speakers that had actually come earlier. So all other protocols are observed. I would
I hope I will be able to, let me just do a little presentation. Oh gosh. Okay, so I have been wondering, what will I really say other than what all the other participants and keynote speakers have been saying. All the while, we all know the importance of data, and we can also do a quick comparison of data to our staple earner. We all know the importance of oil to the Nigeria economy. Data, the theme today is actually data is the new oil of the digital economy. So I would like to start with trying to figure out how we come about that. Sometimes in 2017, the economist actually brought an headline just like this. And this looks quite interesting because then we're seeing multi-stories on oil rigs. But in natural sense, we can liken this to data warehouses, okay? So the likeness of these, where we have the digital powerhouses on oil rigs, simply just express what I would like to, what my topic is, and what the title, the theme of the organizers event is. It's saying why data will be the new oil in the digital economy. This, however, as things have turned out, it is not that data will be oil, but again, like we all have heard from many of the Goodwill presenters, the likeness, the reason why we are likening oil to data in today's presentation is simply because even in Nigeria, the similarities is quite clear. You cannot run away from that. Since the 18th century, we know that oil actually oils the wheels of progress in many other countries, especially in our country. Sometimes as late as the early 60s or so, we know that oil has been a major earner, a major FX earner for the country. And of course, globally, in the world generally, oil is also what carries commerce in the entire world. You need oil to power your organizations, you need oil to power an economy. So we in Nigeria around the 1970s, we had something about the oil boom. So now, again, just as we had about the oil war, the scramble for oil sites, oil wells, now there is data war as well. Of course, what happens at the cyber world is also about data war. How do we put security war about organizations being hacked? So we've all been hearing about this for a while. So here we are about data. Everything that we need to know that happens in the oil world also happens in today's data world. Anything. So there is a scramble, just as there is a scramble to discover oil, there is a scramble to discover the hidden treasures in data. We come from a telecom background, and like we can see, I mean, thanks to the federal government, we now have a Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy. And of course, in that, yes, we may talk about communication before now. Now that we're now talking about, we are putting it alongside with digital economy, then data becomes something that we need to pay a lot more attention to. So we cannot have data. Data may look like something that sits in there, whereas what actually powers the telecommunications world is the flow of information. So you need to make data into information, and that means you need to actually make it in a secured manner and in a storable manner. So one of the greatest storage spaces for data in the world actually belongs to the China Telecom, the China Mobile, wherein about 90 terabytes of data, the bandwidth capacity that goes in there is about 90 TB per second. Data revolution is there for our sustainability in the world. Our activities revolve around data for a better life, growth, and sustainability in all spheres. In Nigeria, there is even a telecom, one of the MNOs whose popular tagline is about data is life. So data itself is something that people now, I mean, is a must-have. So I'm not surprised seeing that the government itself is actually making a lot of efforts to make sure that this data, the data availability is not just to the urban centers. We're thinking of data equality, making sure it goes on to both the unserved and the underserved. We cannot talk about data enough. In fact, there is what we call even the big data now. More complete answers mean more confidence in the data. This means a more precise approach in tackling problems and consequently achievement of greater results. We are aware of cloud computing. Someone had already, I mean, everybody is aware of the Amazon, the Microsoft Azure's powerhouses and their data centers. Those data centers are actually very, they are nearer than we could think about. But the infrastructure to get to this data cannot do without us actually having a robust telecom infrastructure in place. There are several applications that also ride on data. We've heard about IoT, Internet of Things, Internet of Everything. There is a lot of economy going around this whole thing right now. It is estimated that about 50 billion things were connected to the internet in 2020. So 50 billion, but that actually pales in what we are going to be seeing going forward. As we have bigger pipelines, as we're preparing in Nigeria for 5G, then definitely the number of connected items in the world is going to continue to actually double in few years time. So according to a global data the worth of global IoT market was put at 130 million in 2018, and is in 2020, 130 billion in 2018. This is being estimated to be about 138 billion in 2023. Data enables everything to be connected. The smart homes, smart grids, smart cities. So we have all those, and we need data to be able to interpret correctly what this means. We are aware of all these applications, but we need reliable data, we need reliable connectivity to make sure that all these actually work well for our good. Just as we have the good, then we have the bad. But at the same time, all these comes into play. There are applications to guide against the bad. Like I mentioned, there are other applications that also need data. What of telemedicine, e-commerce, e-government, and I'm aware there are a lot of government people online today. And of course, e-agriculture is also coming. E-learning used to be something distant before, but after COVID, we all know the importance of e-learning. So there are probably some other applications coming up very soon. Yeah, it may be things that we probably haven't seen now. We're talking about teleworking now. Many people work from home, and we are even having this e-conference. There are so many other things that could actually be energized using the same data, using data networks, using connectivity. VDT is about enabling this data to move seamlessly. VDT is about providing broadband communication highway so that our data can move and swoosh. So we all are aware that this is a popular slogan, that 10% increase in broadband penetration will increase GDP growth in developed economies by about 1.2% and about 1.4% in developing economies. We have seen this happen in our own country, Nigeria, wherein just in the last quarter, as mentioned by the EVC keynote, we are seeing the growth in telecom and in data economy actually growing far faster than the economy. The economy grew by 2.1%, and the telecom and ICT industry actually grew by 6.5%, outpacing the growth that is inherent in the general economy itself. This is also a result of the broadband penetration that we've been enjoying over time. If you have data, then you have voice. You have voice, you have video, you have everything. So data definitely makes life to be better. So many people do a lot of shopping, a lot of banking cannot even be done. Nobody can contemplate doing banking the way it was done about 10 years ago any longer. So there are a lot of PSP coming up these days. Even the Justice Department actually uses the highway that data uses these days. Nigeria data usage rose by 202% in 3 years. This came from the NCC. So there is a spike in demand for data. And of course, this should not be unexpected. We all know that everything had left the traditional or is leaving the traditional brick and mortar now and is moving on to the online world. And going on to the online world is usually, I mean, well, when we were in college in those days, we used to know that to talk data, we know that computers actually talks in the 1 and 0s. So, and that is the genesis and the foundation of data itself. Telecom, like I mentioned, there is no way we can actually talk about Nigeria without talking about oil. Now, we have to talk about Nigeria. Now we need to talk about data. We need to talk about the importance of telecom to GDP in Nigeria. For the past 10 years, telecom and ICT has maintained steady growth and is leading the way to the country or in the country's GDP, and it has even overtaken the oil contribution to GDP itself. The mainstay of our economy had been oil before now, but we know that in the last 4 years, the telecom and ICT industry had actually been a major a leading contributor to our GDP, far outpacing what the oil industry provides. We can see in, well, my statistics is a bit late. Like I mentioned, when we actually got out of the recession is thanks to the telecom contribution to GDP. Data is the new oil. Global oil revenue dropped in 2020 due to COVID, but about that same time, the telecom and the ICT industry actually grew. In Nigeria particularly, our oil revenue fell even worse than the rest of the world, and these actually fell as high as about 41.44% to a very woeful level in 2020. Whereas if we compare that to what we see in data, which we are discussing today as coming to replace the new oil, the size of the global telecom market generally increased in 2020. It is also expected to rise significantly in this 2021. And of course, it's going to be almost double its size in the next 10 years. But in conclusion, I'm getting to the end of my presentation. Even though I've tried to expose the importance of the telecom industry and also inadvertently the importance of data in our economy in Nigeria, amidst the dwindling fortune of oil. Yes, oil is coming back, but even at that, data is not going to be stagnant. The telecom industry and the ICT industry is not going to be stagnant. Majority of the news, majority of the FDI that came into the country in the year had been from the digital economy. So largely, any industry that provides this, what we need, what is needed is support from the government for this industry to continue to grow. However, governments around the world and including Nigeria also needs to create a growth-oriented policies and provide enabling environment for the full potential of data to be harnessed. You cannot harness data without having a good and robust telecom infrastructure in place. Data has enormous potentials, and it has actually, it is here to displace oil permanently, and it's going to continue to earn foreign exchange even for Nigeria in future. It's not just about the foreign exchange, even to run the local economy, the national economy. So for this, a lot of support is still needed from the government entities and agencies, a lot of whom we have in abundance on this channel. So thanks to the ICT forum for bringing us all together. I can only say, well, we need to continue to mine this particular gold mine, oil mine, like I need to liken here, and so that it can get to its full maturity in due time. Thank you.
We appreciate your being present. There are quite a lot of people calling behind, just wanting to be part of this, trying to delay sometimes this program, but the show must just go on. So Engineer Biodun Money, so very deep. I'm sure it'll be easier for me to be able to get an American visa now, as difficult as it is that seeing him. So I want to thank you so much for being part of this event and for your numerous supports year in, year out. Thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate. We really appreciate. Next on our list now is the the president of Medallion Communications, equally the president of the Association of Licensed Association of Telecom Companies of Nigeria, Engineer Ike Nnamani. Well, Engineer Nnamani is making one of those efforts that makes him soar in this industry. He had to speak to me on Wednesday to say, Tayo, please, I'm sorry. He called me dead of the night to say, Tayo, I can't attend your event. I'm going to Canada. I say, you have not attended, you have been part of it this event more than 4 or 5 years. Why will it be this year that you are going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame that you will not be present? But of course, family things. So right now, Engineer Ike Nnamani is making his presentation all the way from Canada. So Engineer Ike Nnamani is joining us now from Canada to present his paper. His executive secretary was the one that that gave one of the Goodwill messages a lot earlier. So, well, I was thinking when I see him now, he'll be looking like someone in Canada. I know he's still looking like a Nigerian, so there's no difference. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Good to be here. Just to confirm, you guys can hear me?
We can hear you, we can see you.
Oh, beautiful, thanks, I appreciate that. Let me try and quickly share my screen. Please confirm when the screen is up.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. I want to definitely stand on existing protocol. I appreciate the organizers of this event, and it's always one that I naturally try to attend every year. My reason for always participating is in twofold. One is the knowledge that this kind of event always gives is very, very important. And more importantly, also, it always enables the industry to look at where things are trending and how we can make the industry better. As have been said, I wear two caps, both the CEO of Medallion as well as the president of ATCON. And I'll be speaking to the subject matter based on my current knowledge and experience of what is really going on in the market. First, I must commend the organizers of this event. It's amazing. Tayo and his team always do well, and definitely appreciate the previous speakers, especially the governor that was duly represented. They've made good of the subject matter already. So a lot of the slides, I would be skipping them because they've already been addressed, although there are specific ones I will still speak to. Basically, for some of those that are not well acquainted, when we're talking of the digital economy, we've taken it for granted that every participant in this event understands what we are talking about. But in a very, very simple format, the digital economy is a group of activities that involves using ICT to run our daily lives. It goes beyond the use of the internet. It goes beyond the use of fintech. This is basically ensuring that every aspect of our lives is being run at the digital realm using machines as well as ICT infrastructure. And the reason why we are doing this is because all aspects of our lives is affected in a positive way once we can take our economy and take our world to the digital realm. Benefits from economic growth, employment generation, improvement in public services, rise in commerce, and then entertainment, the quality of life. Some of the previous speakers have explained how social media is very, very prevalent now, leading to better quality of life for every citizen as well as people around the world. Imagine what would have happened if we are not living in a digital age and we had COVID. Not only would the death rates has been worse, but even the ability to continue living and sustaining our lives today, as we know, it would have been impossible. And so this is something that needs to be taken seriously. And this is the reason why an event like this is extremely important, because it enables us to know what do we need to do to ensure that we continue to reap the benefits that we've seen. If you look at, and some of the speakers kind of alluded to this, between the traditional economy and the digital economy, what you see is an evolution in terms of what before now has been the yardstick to determine what, to determine the quality of life, to determine the way people live their lives. Suddenly from back in the days where the focus was on building industrial estates and factories, now you see people are more, you'll be hearing more of data centers, cloud computing as the new replacement for that. Moving from your block and mortar marketplaces, now you are looking at internet website as the major way people do business. Moving from your traditional newspaper ads, now you're looking at social media as the main channels. The same thing with banking. You know, we've gone from your traditional cash point to now e-payments and e-banking systems. Thanks to COVID, education has now gone fully digital and online in some cases, and the same with work and other parts of it. So the reality of the matter is, when we are discussing digital economy, we are basically talking about data generation, data storage, data distribution, and the use of data. And that is why trying to understand this will enable us know what is the next steps for Nigeria. How do we move from where we are today to a fully digital economy? And why are we saying in this conference that data is the new oil for Nigeria? Once we understand this and look at the building blocks to enable us achieve this, then we are in a better position. And I hope that already we've achieved a lot with the previous speakers. I believe also some of those listed to speak will help us achieve this goal immediately. Speaking of data generation, so I'll be speaking on those 4 key areas: data generation, data storage, data distribution, and the use of data, and how these are the building blocks towards a full digital economy. Okay, speaking of data generation, what we see, and this is very, very important, is that globally, the data that is being generated by Internet of Things is now over 275,000 times more than data generated from your traditional IP traffic. Now, this is a big eye-opener for Nigeria, given where we are today, because 99% of our data that we are still using in Nigeria is still based on IP traffic. We've not entered IoT traffic significantly compared to what it needs to be and where we need to be. So when we are looking at data and we are discussing the numbers, it is good to understand that we have not started scratching the surface. So even with the presentation by NCC Engineer Biodu in terms of how well we've done, we need to truly understand that we have not started scratching the surface of what truly we can generate from a data standpoint, as well as from building the digital economy. Because if we understand that, then we would appreciate why there is need for more work to be done. Because unfortunately, not only in this event, but in previous events, the impression we are getting is that Nigeria has already arrived. Data has replaced oil. Telecom ICT has replaced oil. And so what you are seeing, unfortunately, as a result of that is most of the stakeholders, especially the government side of it, are all coming to get their own part of the oil revenue, in this case, data revenue. Unfortunately, that is premature because we are far away from where we need to be, where we are talking of data generation and even the use in Nigeria. And it's very important we note this as we go along, that we are still far away from where we need to be in terms of the size of data that potentially a country like Nigeria should be generating. And this is very simple. This is from Ed Vanna, doing analysis of a small city of only 500,000 population. What you see is that the moment you go truly digital in running of your city and you have Internet of Things prevalent in that city, a smart building can generate up to 100 terabytes to 1 petabyte of data per month. And this is a smart home of just 500 devices. Okay, a city where you've got 10,000 connected cars in 1 hour can generate up to 250 terabytes of data a day. Just look at that, and then you now remember that a city like Lagos is not 500,000, but several millions. In fact, there's no major state capital in Nigeria that has a population of less than 1 million people. So that should start giving us an indication of potentially the size of data that can be generated in a country like Nigeria. As I said, we have not even started to scratch the surface of the potential Nigeria has if we go fully digital and we understand and we put in place the necessary building block to make us a data-based digital economy. How ready is Nigeria for data generation? What is the state of our data generation today in Nigeria? As I stated, we are still far from generating the volume of data that will make data the new oil in Nigeria. Let's note that. Whatever we think we've achieved today, how well we are doing, we are still far away from potentially what we can generate. And there is a need for more local content data generation in Nigeria. Once we understand that, we start working towards doing that. Data must move from people and business, which is what we have today, to Internet of Things and machine-based data, because that is where you get the real value for it. That is where the world is moving to. If not, we're just going to be pretty much not utilizing our full potential as a nation. And this is very key, because if you look across the country, you'll find out that we are very, very far from putting in place the infrastructure we need to achieve this, but it's very key. What of data storage, which is another building block? First, you look at the generation. Now we're talking of the data storage. Globally, data stored in data centers will quadruple by this year to over 1.3 zettabyte of data. And this is like 4 to 5-fold increase since 2016, okay? And the interesting thing here from this is that data that will be stored on devices will be 4.5 times higher than what is even stored in data centers. In other words, the data that people will be carrying on their smartphones, within their homes, and all those devices will even be more than what you have in your traditional data center. Now, the question is, do we as a country have the infrastructure to store this data? The answer is no. If you look at, and I was happy when the previous speakers, especially from NIDA, pretty much every of the previous speakers have mentioned these names: Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and you could add a lot of them. We have about 8 of them that form the big data companies globally. If you look at the global presence, one thing is clear. Apart from South Africa, that have an Amazon center, and Microsoft is putting something there, no other country in Africa have the presence of these players. Nigeria definitely don't have any of these cloud players localized in Nigeria. So how can we be talking of being the giant of Africa? How can we be talking about being a big database economy when you don't have any of the hyperscalers localized in our country? The kind of data we're talking about is not the type we're currently dealing with. We're not going to get to where we need to be and the potential of the country with our current state. That is the reality of it. So I run one of the prominent data centers in the country. So I'm talking from a position of knowledge of the state of the country. But this just shows that there is still a lot of work that needs to be done if we are truly to achieve our objectives as a nation and as a people. Okay, so what is the key point? How ready is Nigeria for the kind of data storage that we need to have? Nigeria clearly, as shown in the previous slide, is missing in the key cloud services platform location. No single one of them is located in Nigeria. And until we have in place hyperscale data centers, until we have in place the enabling environment for these people to come and actually put their compute nodes within the country, we will continue to generate data, store a few of them within a few data centers, but a larger chunk of our infrastructure and services will still be located and accessed outside the country. This leads to capital flight. This leads to reduced quality of service. And more importantly, this leads to challenges with national security. That is what we are currently facing when it comes to data storage as a country. There are policies being put in place that talks about data protection, local hosting, and all that. But the reality is, what kind of scale are we looking at? Are we trying to address it from the hyperscale, which is where, if you want to be big, you need to go? Or are we still looking at it from a very, very small standpoint, given the state of our infrastructure and where we are today as a country? The reality is, hyperscale data centers must be located within Nigeria. It's not an option if we are to achieve this kind of scale. If truly data is to be our new oil, we can't run away from that. And guess what? It takes an average of 3 to 5 years to build a truly hyperscale data center. So that starts giving us an indication of how far off we are from where we need to be as a nation. Beyond the hyperscale data centers, you need your edge data centers across every state of the country. A few years ago, I made a presentation that Nigeria needs a minimum of 72 edge data centers to start seeing the benefit of the digital economy. 1, 2 per state. How many data centers do we have? The answer, again, as I said, I'm a key player in that space, so I know we are not even scratching the surface of this. And this is very, very important if we truly want to be able to host us data as we generate them in an efficient and effective way. Talking about the third building block, data distribution. If you look at the traditional networks, how networks are built, you have 4 different stages. You've got your international side, you've got your national backbone, you've got your metro, and then you have your edge, which is last mile connectivity accessed by the subscribers. Okay, and all this have to do with a combination of both submarine cable, local fiber, satellite, microwaves, and of course, your wireless networks, 3G, 4G, 5G, that ultimately gets to the end users, whether it is people, whether it is business, or whether it is machine. At the end of the day, those are your end users. But for this to work, you must have the rest in place. Now, where are we in Nigeria? How far have we achieved this? Just like the other building blocks, we have only done well in one of them, the international connectivity side. We've got at least 5 active submarine cable. A minimum of 2 to 3 are coming over the next 2 years. Thank God, NICOMSAT spoke, we've got some satellite services in country, but that's where it ends. The national backbone is not robust, it's not in place, it's not what it needs to be. You can't ask any service provider today to give you a 100 gig link between any 2 cities and they have it. It does not exist. If you're talking of 10 gigabytes, it's like, wow, who is making this request? I play in the industry, I get most of these requests, so I know what is going on. When you see a request for 10 gig, everybody's like, wow, everybody's shouting, want to get onto that business. But for you to truly achieve what we are looking at, you should have nothing less than 100 gigs all over the country. So we are far from that. Okay, only Lagos, and when I say Lagos, I say this with a lot of hesitation because I know what a truly metro network needs to be. But out of the 37 states, if you add Abuja, being the federal capital, only Lagos have the semblance of a strong metro network or business, given the number of metro providers within Lagos. Every other state, every other city is struggling. And the capacity there is extremely, extremely low when you talk of metro networks. And once you get to the last mile, look at what we've been hearing since this program. Excuses on, oh, it's raining, because it's raining, we can't have good service. That has been what we've just heard several times today. Oh, it's raining in Lagos, and Lagos supposedly is supposed to have the biggest part of the infrastructure in the country. But because it's raining in Lagos, we are not getting good quality service for people to even participate in this program. That shows us the state of play that we are when we are talking of a distribution network for data. And we can't be discussing data is the new oil when we are playing at this scale. It's just not logical for us to assume we are at that point yet. I respect all the achievement. It's good. Engineer Biodu listed some of it. We've heard all of it. We've done very, very well for where we are coming from. But if we want to move to the next level, which I believe we are trying to do, we still have a lot of ways to go. And it's good, especially people in government understand this, because the signal we are getting, especially from the government side, is that it's as if we have arrived, the revenue is there, this is the new oil, let's get the revenue. We are still at the building stage. We have not even started the building stage. We are still preparing for the building stage. So you can't be talking of taking revenue when you are supposed to be building. And this is very, very important. We understand this. We are still trying to build, yet some people are already looking at it as if the food is ready for eating. We don't have the infrastructure. We are far from putting the infrastructure in place to make data the new oil. We are very, very far from that. And it's good we understand this as a nation and as a people, because this will help us to put the things we need in place. Finally, when we're talking of the use of data, I've tried explaining this. The world is moving to the 5G arena. Today in Nigeria, we are playing between 2G and 4G, depending on the city you happen to be. Data today is primarily used by people and some businesses. As I've stated before, if you want to hit it big, your use of data must go beyond people and business to things. Internet of Things must be prevalent. Smart devices must be prevalent. Smart things must be prevalent. Smart cities must be prevalent across the country if you are to achieve the scale that the country needs, if we are to truly replace oil as our national means of sustaining the economy. And this is where I'm gladdened, because if you follow what the federal government have tried to do, especially through the Ministry of Communication and Digital Economy, they get it. They get it that truly we need to build a digital economy. The use of data must go towards digital energy, smart agriculture, e-commerce, every single thing, transportation, health, every single thing that is contained in the National Broadband Plan to build a truly digital economy. Our use of data must evolve to that point. Being on social media, watching YouTube videos, yes, it's going to generate some supposedly revenue for the platform owners, but that does not build a nation. And I have a little shock for us. If we believe that because these platforms globally are generating some revenue from the use of data, the big question is how much of that revenue comes from Nigeria? Have somebody done an analysis to see the percentage of that revenue that comes from Nigeria? The answer is very, very low, significantly low, that they may not even be inclined to take Nigeria extremely serious until we match our population with the data that we are generating. There is a big disconnect between the size of our population and the data that we are generating as a nation. Not just from social media platforms. Social media platform is a small part of it globally, but that seems to be our core focus because that is what is readily available to us today. But we have to evolve this if we are to make significant progress. Okay, and I've just tried to explain this, which is the big disconnect between the kind of data we need to have and what we currently have. The federal government have got it right. They've understood it. They've realized this needs to be done. But how do you now transition from realizing what needs to be done to getting it done so that you see the result? That is currently the crux of the matter. That is where we are today as a nation. And guess what? Two issues is going to come up very soon. Data security. We've not heard of any ransomware, anybody seizing any government or state in Nigeria and asking them to pay ransom for their data. We are getting there gradually. I'm very happy that there's going to be a presentation on data security very soon by one of the best in the country. I look forward to his presentation, but it's very key because you can't be talking about building the kind of data economy we want without being mindful of national security. I work closely with the NSA's office. I know they are doing a lot of stuff. In fact, in the next few weeks, there should be a lot of sensitization program across the country to educate the country about national security policies. I know that under ATCON, we work closely with the NSA's office on this, but a lot of more work needs to be done. Then we're talking about data privacy, the right of the owners of the data. This is very key. I'm happy with what NIDA is doing. I hope it continues. But more importantly, we need to start looking at all this, not from the point of generating revenue, but first building the platforms and the ecosystem that will ensure the right data is even available. And then the revenue will naturally come after that. Okay, I'm summarizing now. What do we need to move forward? What are the building blocks? I've just reduced it to about 4. We need to definitely put in efforts towards putting the core infrastructures. We're talking of edge and hyperscale data centers, broadband fiber connectivity, and the wireless components of it in 4G or 5G, smart cities and smart homes, because guess what? If you have the infrastructure, you don't generate the data, the use of the infrastructure is of no use. It's like a man that has built a very high expressway to the middle of nowhere. Nobody's going to use it. Secondly, we must start building the workforce that is ICT-based and skills, especially local content and cybersecurity again. We need to have a very robust workforce so that we can start exporting technology. We can start exporting human resource without people needing to migrate. People can stay in Nigeria and still be able to contribute globally and in foreign currency if they are well trained. I know NIDA, NCC, and some of the agencies are doing a lot in this. I hope that continues, but more still needs to be done. And we must implement policies that will lead to embracement of digital services across the country. If you don't have the services listed under the National Broadband Plan running across the country, we are not going to generate the data. We're just going to be contented with how many people go on social media to do stuff. Social media is not the data that will lead to a digital economy that is sustaining it financially. Take it from me, it's not social media. It plays its role, but it's not it. It's a tiny part of it. But so far, effort and focus seems to be placed on that because that's what we can see. The bigger part, we need to start opening our eyes to it as a nation so that we can start working towards it. Okay? And government have a lot of role to play in this because, as I said, there seems to be a total disconnect between two sectors of the government. We've seen the ICT-focused part of government. They are doing the right things, but the non-ICT focus seems to be pulling them back. Let me give an example. We've got the National Broadband Plan. 5G is being licensed. Data protection policies are in progress. National security policies are in progress. These are all positives that will actually lead to generating the data that will make us a truly digital economy and actually help replace oil as our major earning source. But guess what? Why this is being pushed in one direction, we've got other sectors of the same government pushing us in the direct opposite. We have situations where there's still multiple taxation. And the reality is that for some state government especially, and government agencies, they have come to conclude that indeed, data has already replaced oil, so they want part of that revenue. So while we're at the private sector side, we are still trying to build the infrastructure. These people are not even allowing us to build the infrastructure because they feel the food is ready to be eaten. So you see cases where deliberately telecom services has been disrupted at state and local government arena. And this is deliberate because guess what? To them, we have to squeeze you so that we can get part of this money that is already available. Guess what, people? The money is not yet available. What we're going to do is that we're going to kill the goose that is supposed to lay the golden egg. That is where we are headed, people. We are heading in the direction where the potential of this country will not be achieved if we don't realize the mistake we are making. We are not yet there. We still have ways to go. Right of way is still an issue. Even after the minister was able to agree with the state government to harmonize it, several are not complying. Even those complying are introducing new charges that makes it more expensive to lay fiber. There's still no public power supply. And worst of all, there is no policy on adequate funding of the telecom and ICT sector. The sector you expect to generate this revenue that will move the country from reliance on oil, what is the funding policy in place to encourage that sector to grow? We've got funding for agriculture. Nobody is saying agriculture is replacing oil. We even got funding for the entertainment industry. We've got funding for manufacturing. Guess what? We have got funding for the same oil and gas industry. But there's no funding for telecom. And we expect telecom and ICT to be the next earning source. We can't do that without putting the right funding in place. That is the reality of the matter. With proper funding and policies in place, it will still take Nigeria a minimum of 5 years to put the building blocks in place for data to be the new oil. We need to understand this. We need to understand that it's still a work in progress. I'm happy we've got government people listening to this. This is not time to tax and frustrate the work of the service providers who are trying to put in place the infrastructure. Unfortunately, that is what we are seeing at the moment. Ask any of the service providers. It's difficult operating in Nigeria because people have concluded that data is the new oil and that revenue is already available. Yes, data could be the new oil, but guess what? It's going to take us some time to get there. We need to build the infrastructure. We need to build the services to make this happen. And that is my last slide. Thanks, and I look forward to having a conversation on this as the program evolves. Thanks, everybody.
Charismatic engineer. I've taken down so many news. I've learned so very much, and I hope you've also learned a lot. Thank you so very much, sir. We'll move on at this time. We'll go to the next presentation. That's talking about the challenges of cybersecurity in data protection as we leapfrog into the digital economy by the co-founder and chief visionary officer, Digital Anchor, Dr. Adewale Obadari, ably represented by Simi Oluwa Oji. I hope she's online. Simi Oluwa, are you with us now?
Good afternoon. Yes, I am.
You're very welcome. The stage is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor and privilege to be part of this event today. And just as the MC mentioned, I'm standing in for Dr. Obadari Peter Adewale, who also sends his sincere apologies for not share next slide, and we will take this topic further. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. I must say, said presentation by Mr. Engineer Ike. I see the sincere expression of the pain points, and I do hope that this is being taken up as well. Okay, so quickly, we'll just quickly go into this. Let me know if you can see my screen, please.
Yes, perfectly, sir.
Great. Okay, all right. Again, good afternoon, everyone. Okay, so we'll just be discussing quickly around the cybersecurity challenges in data protection as we leap into the digital economy. Okay, so I would just like to start with this picture, and the whole essence of what we're looking at is also the journey so far, where we've started from where we are today. And as you can see in this picture, this was at the inauguration of Hope in 2005. We could see here that very few on this image, you could count only like 2 individuals holding, jumping to just 2013, you could see the change, the shift in which everybody has been able to adopt mobile technology and being able to connect to what we call the cyberspace, which is where this digital economy thrives, because this is where people are interconnected across the globe and are able to, transmit and process data across board. And interestingly, as a result of this, because we are all now, having like a digital version or a virtual version of ourselves in the cyberspace, okay, meaning that we have our representation, our footprint in the cyberspace, and where we have criminals, robbing banks and the like. They've also, evolve into also moving into the same space along with us, which is why we say in the cyberspace, like moving to a new neighborhood whereby you have different people around you in the same area. But the same way people are prone to potential house robbery, the same thing in the cyberspace, So if you don't put enough adequate security around your data or around how you transmit data, you can also be exposed or be a victim of who we call the cyber criminals. And throughout the session, we'll be discussing this topic, and we're going to see how these challenges has been over the years and why those challenges are there and how we can put things in place to mitigate it. So before diving into data, we would understand that cybersecurity in itself is a subset of information security. That being said, basically information security is like the parent body of all information, securing of all information. And basically what that means is the security of information, both the physical form, that is the tangible data, and the intangible data, which is the data that is in our digital platform, in our digital systems and the likes. So basically, as a result of these dynamics and how things have evolved over the years, that gave birth to the cybersecurity, which focused mostly around securing the data in the cyberspace. And of course, this is where, we are going to be touching base on as we proceed in this session. And if you have questions, you can just note it down so that we can address them during the Q&A. So, but there's a goal that this cybersecurity and information security is trying to achieve in respect to data protection. And that evolves around what we call the triad of information security or cybersecurity, which is confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And of course, confidentiality basically talks about protecting data from unauthorized access. But I'll go a little bit further to shed more light, even aside protecting the information or data from unauthorized access, it also goes further to ensure that authorized individuals that have access to this data also maintain confidentiality. So as much as you're protecting from unauthorized access, you also need to put things in place to ensure that people that have authorized access to the data maintain confidentiality of those data. Then of course, integrity, which is focused around ensuring that the data remains valid, it is not being tampered with. We can look at that in transaction, ensuring, we all know what, if a single zero is added behind anyone's payroll, we know how much impact that would be. So we look at the integrity in that space and try to ensure that data are being kept in such a way that they are not being tampered with or maybe modified in any way. Then of course, availability is looking at ensuring that this data is available when needed, at point of use or at the point of being accessed by an individual. So basically, these are the major things that, data protection in itself has to achieve to ensure that we overcome these challenges. All right, so moving forward, why is data the new oil? Basically, a lot of speakers have talked about this, even in this welcoming speech, a lot of individuals have also mentioned this, all protocol duly observed. And also we can see here as well that as much as we could process oil, to be something that can be used by end users to fuel the system, the industries, the transportation system. Same thing with data, which is a vital resource that powers information in the digital economy. Okay, and of course, oil in itself, as we all know, is a secret resource, but data it is abundant. It's so massive that you can't practically say you want to be storing this data on a physical drive or on a hard disk, for example. If you start doing that, you're going to have a huge number of data that will almost reach the heavens, which is why, in respect to data storage I was spoken about earlier, in ensuring that you have enough capacity across different data center and the likes to ensure that this data are properly being, stored in a more secure manner. All right, so I won't draw much on this because this has been spoken to a lot. And of course, we have two major categories of data, which is structured data and unstructured data. And structured data is more like the core raw data, whereby you can see it in the database. There are a number of data streams. A lot of these records are very, very minimal and are easy to store compared to the unstructured data that is, more of a presentable data where you have images, videos, and the likes. So this is just for informational purpose. Now let's look into these challenges that very, very prevalent over the years, and I'll try and just speak to them, because if I try to go all in depth on this, we won't probably finish this session in the set time. So I'll speak deeply in one of them. I'll appreciate you all, lend me your listening here. So we'll start with, of course, the social engineering. Social engineering, basically, it's a format which an individual tries to interact with you to make you divulge sensitive information or confidential information. And one of the major tools in social engineering that has been very rampant over the years is stealing people's data, people's personal identifiable information, and password, card numbers, and tokens and the likes, is phishing. And I'm sure majority of us are familiar with phishing, which basically is when you receive a form of an email, that camouflage as if it's from a legitimate person. It could come as maybe your IT support person or your partner, a business partner, that probably has been his email has been compromised, and he sends you an email to, update you of a transaction that you ought to pay and change the invoice to a different account. And, because you could trust easily because it's coming from your partner, you ended up doing that transaction and paying it to a fraudulent account. What has happened is that individual has been phished, because even though he's trusting, he didn't take any step further to verify who or how, if this email was legit or is from the right source. So as a result of this, a lot of organizations, individual, government have actually been a victim of this phishing. And apart from it being just to compromise users' information, it also goes further ahead to, harvest this data, and we'll show you where all this information that they gather are being sold. I mean, aside from maybe transaction data, there are also other information when I mentioned about PII, which of course needs that NDPR speaks strongly about when it comes to data privacy. That is the personal identifiable information. It's one of the tools that has been used to harvest multiple people's information. Same thing with the smishing. Smishing is a form of phishing, but you receiving it as a text message. You could get a text message that maybe Jumia or Konga is doing a lottery. Click on this link. I mean, a lot of them come a lot in WhatsApp chats and the likes. Click on this link, and you'll be asked to fill a form. The form will ask you for your name, your address, your date of birth, your mother's median name. A lot of unnecessary information, but because people are too quick to, jump on an opportunity, they become very, very prominent to this kind of attack. And these people steal your personal identifiable information, which they can use as an identity theft and so many other things across the cyber criminal space. Then the other one is hacking, and there are different forms of hacking, but I will just touch base on the most prevalent one, which is what we call business logic. And this is where you try to manipulate people's data from, changing his normal way of operating for your advantage. We could look at a simple logic of transferring money, for example. You could send the money to someone. That logic is that once you send money to me, normally it's supposed to be debited and I will be credited, right? But hacker will find a way to manipulate that logic in such a way that instead of me being credited, I will be debited and you will be credited. A lot of systems have been also vulnerable like that. Then another major one where hackers also thrive into harvest data a lot is SQL injection, which is where an hacker takes time to probe a vulnerability on an application to gain access to the data warehouse, which is commonly known as database, to harvest the data and record in the system. And as a result of this, then they have as a system, they can decide to expose the organization or the government status to the internet, or go and sell those personal information to cyber criminals. Then, of course, we have the ransomware, which has been around for a while in the cyberspace. It has affected even individuals as well as private and public sectors. So I will be just touching base on each of this as we proceed. And one major factor what ransomware does is basically, as you have kidnapping in the physical space, whereby, people are being kidnapped and a ransom is being paid to get the individual back. The same thing in the cyberspace, a data or someone's data is being compromised. When we're talking about data, remember I talked about structured and unstructured data. It could be a data of an ordinary Nigerian who is a photographer that just finished an event and took a snapshot and is about to produce it, and all of a sudden his computer got encrypted and is being asked to pay a new jammer. It could be a data inside a file share or a share server of an organization that houses all the data, all the documents in that organization that is being encrypted. It could be confidential information, high-level, top-secret information in a government institution being encrypted and being hacked to pay a ransom. Data to cyber criminals, aside from them using it as a source of money, is also something that they use to just want to cause a major impact, negative impact, to either an individual, an organization, or a nation. Okay, then data leakage is also a form of, when it comes to, like I talked about, the storage, sometimes some systems, the way they keep their storage is not in a proper way, whereby, there's no proper security configuration, and through that, unauthorized individuals can gain access to those data. Then, of course, even within people that have authorized information, if they're not properly guided, they can also expose some of this information by sending it via Gmail or WhatsApp or anything from the corporate organization, exposing confidential information to unauthorized people. Then disruptive technology, a lot of people have also talked about this. Internet of Things is here to stay. We can't do anything about it, because one major thing with technology is to thrive and continue to try to give individuals a very fantastic user experience, okay? And Internet of Things have come to deliver that a lot, whereby from one platform, you're able to connect to multiple systems, you're able to communicate with data. We have smart vehicles now, that based on data, because they thrive on data, to identify what a vehicle look like, what a dog look like, what an individual look like, what a traffic light look like, and be able to communicate that into a central location and analyze that to give a meaningful interpretation into the system, to give a user an experience of not driving his car, the car is driving itself to take the person to a destination, or even a security alarm at your house to let you know when an intruder is coming into the system and you're not even at home, and you get an alert on your system or on your phone at your office that somebody is trying to break into your house. Maybe a technology that is embedded in a refrigerator that will automatically know when you are running out of food storage, that a replacement for a replacement of household stock for you, because this helps to make people enjoy technology and give them that user experience. And I used to always say in most of my sessions and forum, we don't necessarily need to look at technology as a bad thing, meaning that it's just like you have a cutlery in a house, you have a knife in the kitchen. That is a utensil that a normal cook will use to make a fantastic meal for you. But if that same utensil gets in the hand of a killer weapon, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. But as a result of this technology in giving user experience, we've also created a lot of individuals that are also interested in how to manipulate all those technology to their advantage. They will try and break into a system like what happened with, I think it was Chevrolet, one of the smart cars that they launched at some period. And, hackers gain access into the program, and they were able to use that to take over people's, while their vehicle is driving, they'll just hack into the car and use it to lock them into the car and take them away, and they've been kidnapped. A lot of things happen during the year, but that's why you always don't have 100% security, and you keep building up on it to get there. And of course, mobile devices now, we have a lot of digital platforms. Digital innovation has been the new norm. Since the pandemic, almost all business have been able to, transform their physical offices into the cyberspace, leveraging on, digital technology platforms, Instagram, even mobile. Some people develop their mobile phone. Their office is a mobile app on its own, where all the staff connect and also interact with their customers. Those are to give a good experience to the user. But of course, as this technology also causes a lot of disruptions, a lot of people are also using it to their advantage. And of course, cloud is also here to stay to help ensure that we remain, build up on availability of our systems and also the resilience as well. Then of course, bring your own device, which is something that also occurred a lot over the years and it's still occurring, whereby an organization doesn't have enough capacity or resource to deploy across all the organization, maybe a mobile device, and they allow their staff or their parastatals to use their own personal device in the organization. If a proper policy or process is in place, Hello? Okay, I think someone's mic needs to be muted. Okay, so as I was saying, basically this helps, to give that customer the experience they require. And as a result of that, they, hackers take advantage of that to also steal data and compromise the user. Then of course, internet threat also comes in when you don't have people that are fully aware of the security threats. They don't have the awareness, they don't adequate policy, even or maybe their inappropriate implementation of policy. This also is a platform whereby data also leave an organization onto the criminals. And we've had scenarios whereby an individual is being, coerced into compromising an organization by just asking him to attach a flash drive into the server room. So if you don't have enough control in place, this could also help the hackers in taking advantage of the data and compromising the data of either a government platform or a private individual's platform. All right, and zero-day attack is also one of the things that has been occurring over the years, whereby a new vulnerability comes out, and before a patch or a fix is being released, it takes a while because people need to test and before they deploy these patches. And this zero-day attack, unknown to some organization, an attacker can take advantage of this, which is why, unfortunately, this is something that has also become a challenge in the organization, even in Nigeria, so to say, whereby we don't have enough skilled, or rather we're having shortage in skills in when it comes to threat analysis, threat hunting, technology analysts, whereby we don't have those skills as much as before anymore. And because of this, a lot of organizations don't have the right skill or employee that will help them always monitor and do some threat analysis to be sure that when there's a 0 day, they are aware and they're ready to put in control or countermeasures in place to safeguard the system pending when the patch or the fix is being released. So these are just one of the things I wanted to touch base on so that we can have a picture into what these challenges are and how they've been able to strive for a while and how this has remained in the industry for a while. We're going to be looking deep into some of them as we proceed. Okay. So this is just a case study of targets. I'm sure some of us already are familiar with this, just to show how much an impact of data breach can cause. And as a result of this, you have Target losing close to about $54 million, income to cyber criminal. This was a result of a breach that occurred at a third-party platform, but because there's a connectivity between Target is like a ShopRite and the Hyper supermarket that we have in Nigeria, the vulnerability in the third party's platform allowed them to gain access into target and steal customer information in their retail system. And this, even aside from that, we've had, like I mentioned, the SQL injection in form of hacking. This is a test data, which is why I'm allowed to show this. The card number there is as useless as anything, but this is what happens when a system is not properly secure. The data in the database right here, firstly, the data is not encrypted, and also they even have a lot of record beyond what is required in the database, which comes to data privacy when it talks about minimizing, data that it collects. So unfortunately for them, there was a vulnerability on the application that allowed the hacker to gain access into the system and harvest the database. Now, the database has millions of customer records, which includes their card number, their home address, their email, their CVV. So right now, with this information, the hacker could start using their card details to do card not present fraud and so many things like that. Even send them, bombard their emails with phishing emails to, steal more data from these people. This flaw in just an institution has affected multiple and millions of individuals because of what's not encrypting the data that they keep in their system, which ended up resulting to a data breach that affected multiple individuals. And this is where, of course, if this was in a case of Nigeria, of course, there will be a regulatory fine for this kind of issue. When testing has been done, they realize that this is a breach caused by the organization for not properly doing adequate data security. All right. Then, of course, the anatomy of ransomware attack. This is just to shed light on how it happens, whereby it could come from a download of an attachment on a phishing mail or an attachment from a flash drive that is already embedded with a ransomware malware. And this basically, once it's initiated on the computer, it locates critical files on that computer. And I know for any data that is encrypted, before you can decrypt it. So what happens is this cyber criminal would encrypt, the malware will encrypt the data and send a key to what we call a private key to the cyber criminal, which without that key, you are not going to be able to decrypt the data. So this is simply what happens in the ransomware attack. And it's something that, it's been around for a while now. And even in the data that we looked at from Sophos, which is also one of the challenge we as cybersecurity professionals are having a bit of challenge in respect to even the record, the data in our space here in Nigeria, because we don't have that visibility into all the cyber attacks that a lot of organizations are facing. But we were able to gather enough from different analysis and different survey. This is just a bit on shedding light of how much, an average ransomware remediation cost in Nigeria, which is close to $600,000. And this is just a data based on a very few number of respondents. This was an analysis done by Sophos, and it was done with a number of 2,000, close to 2,600 respondents. And from just that volume, a very tiny volume of individuals from a large number that we have in this country, we're already getting a record of close to $600,000 being spent on remediating ransomware attack. So, of course, which begs the question, if I'm being ransomed, which is my system is being compromised, should you pay? Of course, for we as a cybersecurity professional, we always advise you not to pay. And reason being that two things will happen. Either you pay and you don't get your data back, all right? But mostly what happens when you pay is you are also motivating the cycle. So the cycle continues, like paying a criminal. The criminal uses the money to buy a more sophisticated gun to come back and rob you. The same thing with cyber criminals. With ransomware, there's a huge amount that is being asked for. They're not going to ask you for 1 million. They're not even going to ask you for 10 million. It's from 20 million and above. So because one BTC right now is about 25 or 55 to $60,000. So basically, you paying this amount is not just a tiny amount of money. And with that kind of fund to these cyber criminals, they develop a more sophisticated ransom and of course come back to the organization to steal this data. Another painful thing that happens with most of these sophisticated ransomware is, apart from them encrypting your data and you pay and you get your data back, the data in itself, we talked about confidentiality, integrity, and availability. is being compromised, whereby they actually have harvested that data off the system. They have a copy of it. They can sell it to your competitor. They can even sell it in the dark web, which we're going to get into shortly. And this has been the norm, whereby data breaches has occurred across the globe. Now, in the hackers world or cyber criminals world, they believe that any system there's no system that cannot be digitally invaded, and that's the honest truth. You know, when you look at the architecture, like we say, the foundation is destroyed, what can the righteous do? If an architecture of a platform is not built in, so there's something we call baked in. You know, you should bake security into your development, into your processes, into your organization. So if they don't bake in the security during the architecture level, and after they've done the design and architecture and everything, and they're not trying to now bolt the security in, it can't be 100% secure, you know, which is one of the challenges Microsoft has. But of course, it became something that, you know, became their business model over the years, and they've been able to be consistent with patching their system across for years now, because they can't go back and re-roll how they developed their platform. But that's on the other side. But basically, this is painting a picture of, you know, that if security is not configured across these 4 elements, that system is prone to be hacked. Okay, I talked about a scenario of being credited instead of being debited. That's when an hacker is manipulating the normal operation of a system. Okay, now implementation is when you break into a system like the SQL injection, whereby we now harvest all the data in the system, because they didn't put security in place. That even if you breach it, the data you want to harvest should be encrypted, but unfortunately it wasn't encrypted. So that gave more access to the cyber criminal. Now the dark web I mentioned earlier, this is like the cloud space of the cyber criminal. So they run like a cloud as a service platform where they upload all this information, all this stolen data, and they sell it in the dark web. The same way you have the underground business in the physical realm. And before you can even gain access into the underground business, you must know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody to connect you in. The same thing in the cyber dark web. You know, you need to have a layer of connection. Then you have to be invited, you know, and there are different sections of what you can even gain access to. So someone has to bring you in. It's a very notorious area. You know, you have where you can buy drugs, buy guns, buy data, people's identity and the likes. And most of the breaches that have happened over the years, we found out that is actually where large number of them are being sold. So how does this now affect us? I mean, if you don't put adequate security in place, this is what the picture will look like. Even to the essence of ensuring that people are getting full awareness of security breaches, what not to do, phishing. Of course, some private institutions are doing that, but even to the level of, as a nation, looking at it, that if we're going to thrive with the digital economy, we start with individuals, you know, taking security very, very serious. And of course, you know, there's so many data breaches over the years, even from Yahoo, you know, where people's information are stolen, such as their email, their date of birth and the likes. And, you know, I knocked an estimate of $350 million off, you know, Yahoo sales price because of this breach. And of course, these are some of the PII information that hackers steal. When you go to the deep web, you know, this is what you see, which is that dark web that we talked about, the underground world of the cyber criminals. This is the same layer on the same internet that you and I operate on. Like, we're currently connected via the internet right now to have this session with you. But aside this right now, we have a layer of the same internet that is about 96% of the 100% of internet that we use. So what that means is that currently right now, with the massive data in the internet right now that we can access on Google, even how to create a human being, you see it on Google, that is just 4% of the whole internet. And the 96% of it is used in this deep web, whereby, you know, so many crazy things happen. They sell people's identity, their passport, you know, username and passwords, people's home address, email address, card numbers, and the likes. And of course, there's an analysis that was done by the Fidelity Nation Information Services, whereby they looked at all this data in the dark web and how much this data have been sold for. I mean, it looks like a very ridiculous amount, but when you look at it compared to the volume that they operate in that space, is a huge number of amount. And mind you, most of this data are already being paid for especially for ransomware. Some of the people, they paid the ransom, collected their data back, but yet those data are already being copied and sold in this dark web. All right. So you have social security number being sold like $1. These are data that are very, very key to an individual, in a nation, to an organization, to anyone to thrive and ensure that data is being secured across board. But unfortunately, if these breaches keep happening, this is going to be the impact whereby people are being compromised, and of course the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of that data is being breached. So data breach occurs where unauthorized access to data has occurred, whereby ransomware led to the encryption of information, the phishing led to me getting sensitive information from the phishing or from the social engineering that I've done. Then of course the modification of data, like I talked about, if somebody should remove a 0 or add 0 to somebody's payroll, we know what that would do. So all these are things that happen. So when the CIA of information are being breached or data are being breached, this is what we now face when it comes to ensuring that security should be across board, because lack of security is going to lead to this. Lack of data protection is going to lead to this. And of course, the effect, is endless. Of course, I put emotional imbalance as a first, because a lot of people don't talk about this, but if you look at it critically, if any organization, I'm sure some CEO here can attest to this, whereby, that's the first thing that will eat you as a result of a data breach, either your data or your customer data. You're always going to have that emotional imbalance. Okay, how did this breach happen? That's when you're now seeing IT going ATA, SCADA, and the like. Even as an individual, if you're all of a sudden the money in your account got wiped off, so that effect in it's a very major significant, because as a security expert, the first thing we actually look at is people. People's safety is first. So when these things happen, we have to first understand that is one of the first thing that eats you before you start even looking at reputational laws, looking at compliance issue, regulatory coming with that, fines and the likes and so on and so forth. So these are just some of the effects of data breach. So what do we need to do to ensure that this is being addressed? I'm taking more than my time, but basically I just itemize them here, because if I'm to go deep down in each of them, it's still going to take a while. So I call this an action pack, and it starts with, system configuration. We talked about the data lifecycle, which is, when data is created, how it's being used and how it's being stored, and where it's even being stored, and, and so on like that. Basically, if the system, because every data has a touch point, even data in transit has where it's going to get to. So there's a source and there's a destination. And it's important that that destination, if it's not being secure, because that's where the data will rest at the end of the day, these same bridges or challenges will surface again. So patching is one very important factor, ensuring that you have enough endpoint security, like anti-malware solution. A lot of them are very smart now with behavioral intelligence and machine learning to understand when there's a new thing in the system, and you quickly lock it and do a lot of analysis of it before it allows it into action. Then of course, security configuration, a lot of misconfiguration also lead to some of these breaches. Then of course, awareness, you can't overemphasize this. Even as a nation, we need to keep preaching this security awareness, because many people, just like the first, aside even the social media part, as an individual, because apart from social media, we have people that get calls, to divulge their data and the likes. There has to be a constant level of whereby either at the billboard or at radio station and the like, people are being sensitized about this. And I know a lot of private bodies are also doing this, to keep, sensitizing people across the nation. And of course, multi-factor authentication is also very important, which is, we have a very common three levels of authentication. The first one being your password. Okay, so your password in itself, it's okay, just you have a username and a password to access the system, but it's not safe enough. It's secure, but it's not safe enough. But this is why there has to be an other level of authentication, because there is password, which is something or your PIN, your password or your PIN, something There's something you have, something that you have as something with you. It could be your soft token on your mobile phone or an hard token. Then of course, something you have, which includes your biometric, your retina, the combination of 2 or 3 of this factor is very important, so that in case somebody already knows your password or your PIN, they will need to have your token to be able to access the system, or they will need your fingerprint to be able to access the system. Then of course, the cybersecurity skill set, which is one of the major issues that has been, when you talk about staff iteration, a lot of our skills in this cyberspace are already coming short from going to Canada, going to different nations. But of course, we have people coming up also, trying to have the skills is important, because like a scenario of the zero-day attack, if you don't have the skill set of people that know how to analyze risk, know how to analyze, when there's a new threat out there, and know what to do to mitigate it temporarily while a fix is being released, these bridges will occur, okay? Then compliance, data privacy, we have the NDPR, Nigerian Data Protection Regulation, which was spoken fully on when we started this note. And of course, it's very important to ensure that data, there is data protection, which is very key, but that is just one level. Without data, there could be data protection and no data privacy. All right, so, and I'll shed light on that. I can protect data in my organization, for example, but if I'm collecting the data I'm protecting illegally, or maybe I'm not getting the subject person's consent before collecting data, I've already breached data privacy. So, because I see a lot of people confusing that because I'm putting a lot of security in place, I'm encrypting data, then I'm data privacy compliant. No, if you don't follow those principles that have been laid down, if you are collecting more data than you should, and there's a breach, you've violated data privacy. So we need to look at those areas and see how we can first start, strengthen that to ensure that we are implementing security and data protection in place, but also following the data privacy as well, such that, so that we comply to what has been set for us as by the regulation as well. And of course, we have the GDPR in case we are doing business with the EU. We have compliance standards, like the ISO 2700 about information security management system. That will put in a lot of process and, things in place to ensure that security is being taken into consideration when we talk about baked-in security as well. Then, of course, PCI DSS, which focus on card holder data, and so many security standards. So, getting compliance to this standard helps first start your security, and even to a level build what we call a defense in depth. Okay, so at the defense in depth has meaning that you have multiple layers of security. So if one layer of security breaches, like the SQL injection, if I've encrypted my data, at least, even if the hacker gain access, you won't be able to see something to take on while you're closing all the other vulnerabilities. So it's very important that, and that's what this compliance standard have brought in to help individuals and organizations achieve. And of course, secure backup. So in the case of a ransomware, if an organization doesn't have a secure backup process in place, if they are being ransomed, then they have nothing to recover from. So that's why it's important to ensure that this practice is in place. I call this action pack because if you have this even at the basic, you already get into that realm of ensuring that the data protection within our space, and economy grows as we all expand. So within each and individual space, if all these things are in place, then we cannot, when we start building up more and more volume, then we'll end up having a system or a digital economy whereby security has been part of everything from the foundation, which is why it's very key that this security has to be already baked in from the get-go, all right? And of course, you can still bolt it in, you can still add it, you can put layers upon layers, it is fine. But the point, what we're trying to lay emphasis on is looking at all these different domains and ensure that we have this in place, even at the barest minimum. Then data classification, which is also a very important part. In fact, I've seen scenarios by even different institutes, both private and public, they don't even know the data they have. So they even have to start from what we call data discovery. You need to have an inventory of your data. You need to have what you're even collecting from people. You need to have what you're storing, how long you're storing data for. That's when we talk about data retention. And now you securely dispose the data after they've reached their retention period. And classifying it so you know which one is top secret, which one is confidential, which one can be public information, which one can be private information. Then, of course, data encryption in transit and in at rest. In transit, we talk about the SSL, the IPsec, the different layers of ensuring that while information is being transmitted, they are fully secure. Okay, then of course the at rest as well. Then of course, security monitoring of data, network, and systems is also very important. You need to have a SOC center or a NOC whereby you are looking at all the operations of both the security and the network to ensure that you're having a full blown of who is doing what at what time and what they are accessing, okay? Then of course, cybersecurity strategy will help you build a roadmap to achieve this in different phases. It could be, strategy is 5 years, 10 years, as the case may be. So you can be starting at each level, depending on your business at time, so that you align your business and security as you proceed to get to that, the strategic date or the plan that you have ahead. And of course, network segmentation is also key, that you segment critical systems away from, other systems to protect it as the case may be. And of course, third-party due diligence and security audit. We plug into a lot of service providers, a lot of third-party institutions. We need to ensure that they are taking security very serious and they don't become a breach that will then affect you at the end. So I just wanted to shed light on this, and I hope this action pack will be actioned at different levels of different stakeholders that we have here, so that we can start growing the security into the system and our digital economy can thrive in a secure manner. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. That's our mic check. Okay, thank you so very much. We can't thank you enough from the depth of our heart. We are very, very grateful, Mr. Sibili Oluwa Oyediji, representing the Honorable Co-Founder and Chief Visionary Officer, Digital Encode. That's the person of Dr. Adewale Obadare. He has done incredible justice to the topic, the challenges of cybersecurity in data protection as we leapfrog into the digital economy. Thank you so very much. That was an in-depth analysis. I must admit, I heard you took one topic I have very keen interest, and that is hacking. On a very good day, I think I'll come see you so I can learn more about that. Once again, thank you so very much. We appreciate it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a day well spent. We are going straight into the discussion on the theme. Okay, and this segment is going to be coordinated by no other than the initiator, the convener of this great event, in the person of the very indefatigable Mr. Tayo Adewusi. So he's going to come coordinate this segment and then bring proceedings to an end. I've learned so very much today about data, the new oil in the digital economy. Mr. Tayo, please. Let me give you a round of applause first.
Good afternoon once again. This segment is just going to give each person, supposed to be a real session, panel of discussants, but the whole idea really is to want everybody to just connect one way or the other with the team for the the theme for the event. Data, the new oil of the digital economy. The new oil. I've had very lovely presentation, first from the chairman of the occasion, then messages from Outcon, Niche Comsat, Tranta IT, and the keynote address by Professor Mara Rambata. The paper, of course, by DG NIDA, presented by Lina Abba on the government. The MD VDT on why data is the new oil in the digital economy. Unfortunately, at the very last minute, Engineer Femi Adeoti, the MD of Inlax, couldn't join us. I've been hearing so many comments that has been made about the position and submission of Engineer Kim. I keep quiet. I won't say anything. Dr. Adewale Obadari, ably represented by Simile Olua. All I just decided I was going to, that we're just going to have, I was just going to give impact analysis, just few words on the theme of the event. For those who will be around tomorrow, is inside the events brochure. Yeah, so let me just take a little read while give everybody a breather. I think everybody will just come in and round up this session in a minute or two, just to, while the four papers, people prepared to come back and present their paper. Let me just read out from my own, let me just do the impact analysis and read it from here. This year's event, just like the invitation shows, is a two-phase. The phase, yes, today being September 24th, which is the Nigerian ICT Impact CEO Forum, where extensively we are discussing on the theme, which is data, the new oil of digital economy. And tomorrow, Saturday, September 25th, we will be honoring outstanding companies with distinguished awards and we'll be inducting the heads in this industry into the Hall of Fame. And this comes up only once in a decade. Data in the 21st century is like oil in the 18th century. Immensely untapped valuable assets like oil. For those who see data fundamental value and learn to extract and use it, there will be huge rewards. We are in a digital economy where data is more valuable than ever. It's the key to the smooth functionality of everything from the government to local companies. Without it, progress will halt. Data infrastructure should become a profit center. For many companies, their data infrastructure is still a cost center nowadays and should become a profit center by using the data to improve everything day by day. Companies must begin treating data as an enterprise-wide corporate asset, while also managing the data locally within the business unit. This enables sharing of data about products and customers, which provides opportunity to upsell, cross-sell, improve customer service, and retention rates. By using internal data in combination with external data, there's a huge opportunity for every company in the world to create new products and services across lines of business. Good data beats opinion. When your business is growing more and more, people have opinions about which steps need to be taken. It helps to work with a good data beats opinion philosophy. Almost everything can be tested, measured, and improved. If you can measure it, you can improve it. Inspire people to come up with new ideas and pick up new opportunities and just test it and see what the impact is. A test which you are measuring is never worthless. Make sure you have real-time access to the most important data in your business. Only knowing your total revenue, profit, or costs is not enough. And that is my own little analysis of the team. So because I still want us to try as much as possible to finish on or before 2 o'clock. I want the final submission of Lina Abba, representing the DG of NIDA. She's still here for her to give a 1-minute summary of our paper. Please, Lina Abba, she's still in the house. Lina.
Hello, Mr. Tayo.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go ahead.
Question.
I can't see you. So let's
Mr. Tayo.
It's just to have your final word on on your paper vis-a-vis the theme for the event.
Okay. Okay, sorry, Mr. Tayo.
No.
So basically, just in conclusion, I don't know if everyone can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so basically, just in conclusion to everything we presented today, we just wanted to explain everyone what the NDPR has been able to achieve and what it will likely achieve in the future as well. We also wanted to just point out that data protection is extremely important. It is important that we understand what it is. We need to understand how to protect our data. And then also, I want to also thank the stakeholders, the people that we've been working with. As I mentioned earlier, we received a lot of positive engagement from them. They've been able to aid us in ensuring that there's compliance to the data protection with the NDPR, with the Nigerian Data Protection Regulation, and generally just help create a secure digital economy to advance, a general digital economy to advance the country as a whole. So I want to thank you as well, Mr. Tayo, for taking your time to answer all my questions as well. I was just saying to my colleagues that I didn't know how I didn't know that you were so advanced in age, and so I was saying he was even calling me mom. He's old enough to be my father. So I'm very grateful for the way you took your time to answer all your questions. Thank you very much.
All right. Lina, I'm just a young 50-plus-year-old man. I'm a boy really. So I mean, I'm just starting to come out. when someone like me is saying I'm old, what do you want to say of Ernest Ndukwe, who is even supposed to still join us at some point? Once there is passion for something, you're always there. I keep telling a lot of our people, if it's about money, they will not have done this event last year. We'll have found somewhere else, maybe do buying and selling and do something, but this is passion. This event started in 2010, and year in, year out, we've had cause to touch one aspect of broadband or the other. We don't do, and because data is life, there are no two ways about it. So Lina, I want to thank you very much for representing the DG. And when you now harass me, how do I harass DG? How do I harass DG? You know how old GG is now, but still my oga, I say sir, but that's life. That's life. Thank you so much, Lina. So my MD, he actually was the one that had his own paper, Why Data is the New Oil in the Digital Economy. So I want to call on Mr. Engineer Abiodun Omoni to please give his closing remarks. Engineer Abiodun Omoni. Yes. Thank you so much for being part of this program for this long. Thanks you so much. Really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much, Tayo, for organizing a very beautiful event. I really enjoyed all the speakers, and the event has been wonderful. I must say, in spite of the earlier presentation, this is just supposed to give a 1 minute roundup statement. So yes, data is the new oil. From what we've seen, there is still a lot of work for us to do in Nigeria. In the space where I represent the broadband side of the business, which happens to be one of the building blocks of actually making the data to flow. There is still a lot of support that we request and want the government to harmonize together with all the tiers of government so that these can truly be a matured, so that this can truly be a matured industry and we can truly enjoy it. A lot of work that needs to be done on supporting the local content and making sure that all the tiers of government work together to make it truly the oil that we are envisaging it to be for our economy.
Engineer, I really appreciate it. And my regards to the whole BDT team.
Well,
thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. Yes.
Let me bring in Engineer Ike Namani, President of Medallion Communications, and who also doubles as the President of ATCON, to give his final 1 minute closing remarks. 1 minute, Oga.
I'll make it 30 seconds. Thanks so much. It's been a great event as always. I've truly learned more than what I've even presented. I've learned a lot from the other speakers and key stakeholders. As I summarized in my speech, I truly believe that data in the digital Nigeria is going to replace oil revenue by far. But as been stated, we still have some ways to go. We still need to put in place all the building blocks. We need to be patient with the process. We need to understand that it's going to take both human resource and financial resource to accomplish. The technology is there, the services are there, but we need the infrastructure. We have the people, so there's no doubt about it. That's the main attraction for Nigeria as an investment destination. We've got the population to make this happen. It's just that we need to now work on the other aspect of it. And I truly would plead with the various arms of government to work together so that what is being done by one sector is not being pulled back by another sector. Telecom and ICT would ultimately, in my opinion, lead to more benefit for Nigeria beyond what other sectors have done or we do. But we are still in the building phase. We still have a long way to go. We are not yet there. So I will call on government agencies in particular to understand this, that we are still building, and to be patient with the sector so that we can achieve the goal. Thank you.
Much, sir. 1 minute. 1 minute was 1 minute. Thank you so much for all the support and for the whole of the Medallion team. Really appreciate. And the passion you put into this industry, it is well. God will continue to repay you.
Thank you.
In Jesus.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. And as I call on Simi Leoluwa to give his final report, I want to also mention that if Mr. Larry Ayola is still with us, is still on, I think he should also be prepared to give us a 1 minute remarks of the events, since he was part of it all through. Let's have your final contribution, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Again, I appreciate the Nigeria ICT Impact CEO Forum and Africa Digital Award for this platform. And of course, Data Inc. is also grateful for everything. And basically, like I said, we should ensure that we bake in security from the get-go. And also looking at the digital economy, we need to also maybe take a step back and review what will be our end goal as an economy as well as Nigeria, because sometimes there are some issues that is only in Nigeria understanding, or Nigeria way that it can be resolved. So, and I know there's some sectors that are going just with the norm, we're flowing with the initiative, we're flowing with the innovation, but as a nation, we need to look at all the benefit we can achieve from this digital economy, from the big data, from analytics, from robotics, on how a lot of things can help make life of a Nigerian, better, leveraging on the data and of course technology as well. So let's look at that goal, and how we're going to, achieve it. And of course, we are always available as a company to always provide support, even for individuals and government. So again, thank you very much. And I wish everyone all the best. And please do not panic. I know sometimes when we do a lot of presentation around cyber threat and the likes, a lot of us panic, but just trust, no problem with that. But as you trust, also ensure to verify. Thank you very much.
Scared when you are dealing now, when you are dishing out all those figures that, well, there is God, though. Thank you very much, Mr. Simileoluwa.
Pleasure, sir.
Please,
thank you.
We need to. We're looking. Is Mr. Larry Ayola still in?
Yes, Ty, I'm still around.
All right, sir. Please, your own final summary. In a
yes, with pleasure. Well, I think all the speakers have been wonderful. When you've been in the industry, the IT industry, as long as I have, sometimes you start to become arrogant and think you know it all. Today, I learned that there's a lot I don't know. As you know, IoT Africa is building a nationwide IoT network. And one thing I didn't know is how much data IoT would generate in relation to the data that's being generated or used now. So I think basically, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of government's focus and attention, I think we have our work cut out for us. I think from listening to the talk on data protection, data security, I think in that area, a lot needs to be done. You know, there's a saying that as long as the thief doesn't remember you or see you, you're safe. But Nigeria is becoming very visible on the electronic map, if you like. And therefore, we have to take data protection very seriously. On the IoT side, I noticed that a number of speakers happened to mention that IoT was indeed very, very important for the country going forward. I agree with that. And indeed, I think we're going to see a massive upsurge in the adoption of IoT in the country going forward. 2022 and 2023, I believe, will be particularly good years. It's something to look forward to. All in all, the message is data is the new oil, but data will be the new oil when we build the infrastructure. Data will be a good source of wealth if we're able to protect it and secure it. And I think that summarizes it really. Congratulations to you, Tayo. It's a wonderful event. I'm not sure whether to call it a webinar, a seminar, or an online meeting of minds. But all in all, fantastic outing. Thank you very much.
Someone saw your advert, and then we were just talking, and he said, "Who's this person?" I said, you need to know who this person is. So that it's been one of those who gave me my first PR job, maybe the year 2000, 2000 or 2001, when I wasn't even. It was a long way back, you know, and I laughed. I said, okay, to tell you that the closeness, when I was looking for a car, a vehicle to use for my wedding, I said I wanted a Jeep, you know, and he didn't have two. He had only one, and he gave me the one to use to bring my wife home. That is in 2002. I can't forget that. Thank you very much, sir.
Those were the days when you and I were much slimmer.
Yes. Amen, sir. Now I can laugh when I mention her name. Next week.
Thank you very much.
Since she has left us, and just give God the glory. So yeah, so tomorrow, part of our dedication is that we are dedicating the award ceremony in our memory. That's one of those things, because she stood by me all through. So, Msalari Ayola, thank you so much. We cannot complete the story without you. While just trying to round up now, I want to thank our sponsors. Number one, MTN. We really want to thank MTN for so much, but I'm sure you will see action tomorrow. Medallion Communications, Digital Encode, INLAX, VDT, NCC, Niche Consults. Then we had support from Global Accelerex, Ponga.com, Tranta IT. I'm sure tomorrow, all those who have presented paper, some people will be inducted into the Hall of Fame tomorrow at the Oriental Hotel, Lekki, Lagos. time is 4 p.m. And so we expect everybody. It's also going to be a short event. The event is also going to be online. So if you are in any part of the country, but please, if you don't, number one, if you don't attend, for the individuals, it's going to be very difficult for us to induct you in absence, being an absentee and record. For the other awards, corporate, of course, we can give to anybody. But being inducted, this is the second time we're doing this in 20 years. I think this award, this Hall of Fame, this induction is something we respect a lot. Although some people have told me they can't make it, but we should not even allow anybody to call it. We should come and induct them in their office. So that's the minimal that will happen. Although we have done the event that is most important by coming in tomorrow. But if you don't attend tomorrow, you send a representative, they will take it. But to get you inducted, we have to come to your office. All bills on you, whether in Lagos or in Abuja. We have to do that. Those are the small conditions. For those who don't know, Ogbeni Aregbesola, Rauf Aregbesola, the current Minister of Interior, is the chairman of the class of 2013. Who will be the chairman of 2021? I don't know. But members of that 2013 class, some of them will be those to be inducted that will do the induction for the class of 2021 tomorrow. We're expecting the EVC, former EVC of NCC, now chairman of NTN, Engineer Dr. Chukwuka Ndukwe, OFR, to join us in the event. We're expecting Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola and some other big heads there to join us for this event tomorrow. It's a short one, I'm sure, maximum 2 hours. We have done the talk today. So tomorrow is just to make an opportunity for people to come and pick up their awards. We said 2 o'clock, this is 2:10. I think we have tried. If we have not been, if we didn't keep to our 2 p.m., but we tried our best to do that. I want to thank you all so much. I can see quite a lot of people still online. I really, really appreciate and thank you so much. Well, for Zoom, the YouTube, and WhatsApp. I want to thank everybody for just seeing this event, the technical team. There are so many people in the technical team down here. Engineer Tokpe, Kenny, Benga, even though one of my friends just walked in now, he'll be claiming to be a member of the technical team. How they show it on. I want to thank everybody. Thank you so much. And look forward to seeing you all tomorrow at the Oriental. Thank you so much. Goodbye and God bless. National anthem. The national anthem.